wanna be a hero. I wanna be a hero. Yeah, alright. All them other guys, they are not heroes. Sit them on the sideline, we got to go. I got a couple spots by the island goes. The finest girl deserves all the finest clothes. You ever do a day, cause it's time to pause. She light up like an angel from her eyes and toes. 120 miles down them highway roads. Then I take cold, I'm your hero. Travel around the globe, but it's solo though. Need someone to hold who is gullible. Need a hero. When we take a ride, it's a whoa. Leaning out the side, take a photo though. I wanna be a hero to you.
Quiero ser el héroe tuyo.
And you can tell me where to go to.
Y vamos a viajar el mundo.
Cause I wanna be a hero to you.
Mamacita eres hermosa, sos una diosa.
I know you want a hero for you in your life. You can see the sky, I can see your eye. You and me tonight, be alive. This could be your life, say it be alright. Do or die, you can feel the vibe, you can see the ride. But I need to see a sign, breathe and kiss and fly. Mamacita, eres toda para mí, eres única. Eres única, y mamacita, ven aquí para mí, eres única. Eres única. I wanna be a hero to you.
Quiero ser el héroe tuyo.
And you can tell me where to go to.
Y vamos a viajar el mundo.
Cause I wanna be a hero to you.
Mamacita eres hermosa, sos una diosa.
I know you want a hero for you in your life.
Mami, en el rojo. Me andan diciendo que estás buscando un héroe. Vámonos. Que te saca a pasear todos los sábados en el rojo. Hermosa. Quiero que sepa que eres la mujer más hermosa que he conocido en mi vida. Un beso. Quiero viajar el mundo y hacerte reír todos los días al amanecer. Preciosa. Solo dime dónde quieres ir. Y viajamos first class. Let go.
Mamacita, eres toda para mí, eres única. Eres única, y mamacita, ven aquí para mí, eres única. Eres única. I wanna be a hero to you.
Quiero ser el héroe tuyo.
And you can tell me where to go to.
Y vamos a viajar el mundo.
Cause I wanna be a hero to you.
Mamacita eres hermosa, sos una diosa.
I know you want a hero for you in your life.
Token Metrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.
Sorry. Hey, Bill, how are you? I was on mute.
Ian, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good. Hope everybody's out there surviving, quarantined, doing well, staying safe, staying at home. It's been a pretty hectic month, to basically say the least. So just here to really kind of talk to the whole community, see how everyone is doing, talk about the markets, because people have been asking us, our market's going to crash. So we have Bill on to give us some TA and breakdown, and also to just really talk with the community as well. Okay, so we'll be having a Menti code as usual. Actually, I forgot to update that on the platform. Here, let me do it quick. But Menti code is 56, so that's 567584. If you just go to menti.com, let me just quickly update that so people don't have the old. That's the old code from a while back. All right, there we go. So Menti code is 567584. That's 567584. Go there, ask us your question, and we've also launched the Token Metrics forum, and this is still a work in progress, but we definitely recommend you go and sign up. We'll be taking questions from here, so if you have any questions you would like to ask prior to the live stream, feel free to just go here and ask your questions. We're trying to really create a community for cryptocurrency investors and traders globally, and we think this is a great complement to the Telegram forum we have, because here content can be indexed and searched on. So definitely highly recommend you go out there and join the forum if you haven't yet already. And any questions you post there will always be asked on the show. All right, Bill. So how's the market look?
All right. So the government tried to come to the rescue. They gave us more of what they gave us over the last 12 years, a lot more. And it's not going to work. Yeah, in 2008, you had mass unemployment in the financial industry, but the rest of the world didn't have to stay home. There was unemployment, but it wasn't on this scale. So markets have to adjust, right? We actually wrote a piece at the start of the year that markets need to adjust to reality. So this reality is obviously not fun. You don't need us to go into the disaster porn, but the simple fact of the matter is equities don't reflect reality. And unfortunately, which makes me want to just, I don't know, take 2 Tylenol, is that Bitcoin is getting dragged along with it because institutions are selling crypto on weekends to try to get ahead and hedge equities into, the coming adjustment lower, massive. So crypto should be the new salvation as the dollar and stocks blow up, but it's just not that way right now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely crypto seems to always be getting the short end of the stick. And it's tough because we just came from a 2-year bear market, and now what's happening in equities is now also impacting crypto. So, I mean, but crypto has always bounced back, and I talked about this on the show last week. This is really the year for crypto to prove its use case. Like everything is almost like a movie being scripted for crypto to be the hero. So if crypto cannot be the hero in a case like this, it's going to make it even tougher going forward. So I think 2020 is definitely the year for crypto to make or break it.
Right. And if the movie started the day equities topped, if you follow action movie plots, normally the hero kind of takes it on the chin in the first half of the movie and then makes a huge comeback. So I think in terms of the crypto action movie, we're in the first part where, crypto has to take it on the chin along with everything else. And then when people discover there's a problem with the integrity of the dollar, that's when gold and crypto moon. But from what level? No, I don't think it's 6,500. Let's put it that way.
All right, so let's do quick shout outs. So first people on the live stream, we have Malik. Hey Malik, how are you? Justin, how you doing, Justin? Great to have you here. Alice Orizon, great to have you here. James is Orizon as well. Great to see you, brother. Victor, hey Victor, how's it going? How's Canada? Are you in Canada or in Nigeria at the moment? Hope things are well. Mind Blocker, how are you? Great to see you here. Dragon Ball Crypto, what's up? Great to see you here. Arfan, Samir, wish everyone safety and health. Thank you so much. Likewise. Mr. Brown, great to see you here. Stay on the moon. We'll try for sure. Felix, hey Felix, how's it going? T-Dollars, hey T-Dollars, how are you? This is live. We are live as it gets. Okay, so let's now pivot to the live stream. So if you haven't yet already, go to menti.com, menti.com, and use the code 567584 to put in your questions. Our question of the day, the first question of the day is, what's the target for the next BTC down move? Is BTC going down to $5,000, or is it going down to 4,000, to 3,000, to 1,000? Or is it going down to whatever the price of gold is? So let us know what you think. Go to menti.com and code is 567584 and tell us what you think. So Bill, what's your take on this? What's the next down move for Bitcoin?
Well, I can tell you, I hope it's in a 6,000, 4,000 range, and we're just going to test the bottom of the range. That would be optimal for crypto players and my sanity. The alternative is that we've got an Elliott wave structure that points to like 3,000. So either crypto hangs out and doesn't do much, or, it's going to get dragged along with everything else.
What time frame would that be?
Well, I think equities are just going to go. So if crypto is going lower, which it seems to be, then I think this is like November of 2018, where it just, crypto doesn't waste any time. It just goes.
It goes 100 miles an hour.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, if you saw crypto kind of hanging out, not doing much, that would be great. Right. But, frequently, I mean, if equities are down 8% in the morning, where's Bitcoin going to be?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So nothing is more nauseating than having to be a slave to the equity market that Bitcoin was built to be the alternative to, but we have to deal with the short-term reality. Now, again, any kind of crypto stability, range trade, crypto hanging in tough, I would be so happy.
Yeah. Now, to kind of add on to that, so if we go to tokenmetrics.com, I just logged in today. Very interesting. Most of the crypto ratings are very low compared to where they were prior, especially when it comes to short-term trading. So looks like our models is saying there's definitely something going on. Now, I've not had a chance to kind of delve deeper into each individual rating, but looking at Bitcoin, I mean, this is the lowest I've seen Bitcoin in a while. I'm not even sure exactly what's going on myself. So, yeah, so the models are saying the grades right now, 54% of the grade is going towards TA, and TA on Bitcoin is very, very low. So, yeah, if you're a short-term trader, our models are not so bullish on crypto at the moment, unfortunately. But curious to see what other people think. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Now, going back to the question of the day. So target for next BTC down move, the majority of people think it's going down to 3,000 as well. So it looks like people are also doing their TA as well. Either that or they have token metrics. All right. Let's go on to next question. Actually, so quick comment on this. Token metrics has been performing pretty well in the last few weeks. So the token metrics win of the week was Monero. Monero has performed fairly well. Obviously, probably not today, but it was up over 100% in the last few weeks. Now, if you go to Digital Asset News, he has content on his channel online. He actually did a review of token metrics. And if you see on the video, his video happened on March 11th. Monero was #1 for short-term ratings on token metrics. And Monero in the past few weeks has basically done a 1x in this time frame, in this climate, in this market. So I think there definitely still are good wins out there. So just kind of wanted to kind of put that out there and say that for anybody out there, if you made money on Monero, congratulations. And also to the customers out there, just kind of want to show you how token metrics is faring in this climate. All right. So let's talk about, will markets crash and burn, Bill? In terms of limits of printing money, the price of staples going up, and unemployment persisting.
Right. So Monero told you all you need to know. I think when we go back to like the first couple shows I did, I was a big Monero fan, right? Just in terms of like capital movement. So Monero is telling you that capital is fleeing. And what is it fleeing? Well, it's fleeing massive unemployment. It's fleeing a world where, the price of bread goes up when people have no money, right? Like when you print the kind of money that they've printed, if you buy an economics textbook, inflation is first and foremost a monetary phenomenon. That's a quote from a famous economist, right? So, if everyone's unemployed and the price of bread goes up, that is not a good recipe for capital markets. So, it's like in basketball, right? Where you run the play one too many times and they know it's coming and they block the shot.
Yeah.
You go to the well one too many times, either with the 3-pointer or driving the basket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's where the world is. And I think capital markets have to make the adjustment to that. And Monero is just one more warning sign. In fact, I think it's great for crypto that people were more interested in Monero than they were in metals. Now that may shift, but you know, Monero was telling you what's going to happen here.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about unemployment. So unemployment has jumped up to 3.28 trillion. I mean, this is jobless claims.
3 million people filed for unemployment claims.
Yeah. So I mean, this is pretty crazy, but it is kind of expected with what's happening recently. So how do you think this is going to impact the markets?
Well, I mean, markets blew it off in the beginning, right? So they went with the bad is good model that the Fed just has to continue to print. So, okay, you know, the Fed buys the whole market. They buy equities, they buy all the corporate bonds. If they do that, it's not a market anymore. I call it the Politburo markets for anybody that knows anything about how like socialist or communist governments are run. I mean, if the market's run by the Fed, it's not a market. Now, I understand policymakers have empathy for the people. You know, they're trying to do something. I get that. You know, I respect that. But, you know, historically, if you buy a textbook, printing money doesn't work. It happened to work for the last 12 years, but, you know, it has its limits, right?
Yeah. I mean, because I think during this crisis we're in, the dollar will be going up because it's the reserve currency. So other currencies will be sold off for the dollar, but the dollar will eventually peak and start to crash as well. Well, probably not crash, but decline. I would say drastically. Yeah. So crash.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with crash. And I actually think the dollar chart is basically telling you that, you know, the dollar is going to get sold. Like they're going to have to indiscriminately print the currency. You know, like for example, if nobody has a job in 6 months, who's going to pay? Who's going to keep municipal utilities running? Like the utilities companies don't run for free, and nobody can pay their bills. How does that work? Well, it's the printing press, right? So the dollar is going to get sold, which is why I'm hoping that, you know, even if Bitcoin does go down a lot, it's like a V bottom rather than that annoying torment we had to endure in early 2019.
Right. So here's a question from Felix. He's saying no currency hasn't gone to zero in history. Gold and silver have kept their value. Do we think Bitcoin will join gold and silver? Want to try answering that, Bill?
Yeah, sure. I think there's going to be a form of crypto that's going to act as a store of value and as a transactional currency. Now, it's logical to suggest Bitcoin would be in the leader of the store of value. Mm-hmm. You know, quantum computing is coming. Personally, I think it's going to be a proof of stake coin. Okay, but I do think from a transactional point of view, digital is going to matter. Right. So until they can make gold digital, which they could, you know, on a blockchain. But I think crypto just has a unique value proposition in a world where people need new currencies.
So basically a gold-backed stablecoin. Now, I believe that has been attempted, but nothing has really taken off. I recall there was like DGX something like that.
Yeah, and I knew a guy in Texas from, I think it was Anthem Gold. In other words, the problem with backing anything with gold is it actually backed by gold, right? Physical gold is much more, there's a disparity between the price of physical gold and the price of like what we call paper gold. You know, and that's always been there, but now it's coming to the forefront because people are afraid. So, you know, gold could moon. It could.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see gold and Bitcoin at 5,000. That would make me happy. Right. Yeah, I don't want to see gold and Bitcoin at 3,000, but I have to be realistic. If Bitcoin is going to get dragged down by equities.
Yeah.
I'm forced to, right?
Okay. All right. So now time for crypto therapy. So what's your take on BTC, Ethereum, and some alts?
All right. So let's share the screen here. All right. All right. So here's Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin on BitMEX, right? XBT. So I think one of the things that our artificial intelligence is picking up on is the fact that, this looks like a very clean Elliott wave structure where you have kind of a big decline, a bounce back, and then this could be the final heave, the 5 wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our models could be picking up on like a stalled rally, right? Now, I kind of hope that's not the case, but it's not a tactic. Okay, in Ethereum, right? The chart kind of bunches itself up a little bit. Maybe I can make it a little bit easier to see here.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal. Ethereum's been traveling in kind of this box for a while. And right now it's kind of moving below the bottom of the box. It's tried to rally, but this looks kind of like a flag pattern almost, right? Which bodes for downside continuation. So I can't even tell you how much it hurts to have to say something negative about Ethereum.
So Ethereum can go lower.
Right. I mean, I think if Ethereum's below 125, it's kind of like get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't want to get like crazy bearish, but and this is the dollar index, right? Like first everyone floods in and then everybody goes, oh wait, let's get back to reality.
Right.
So, I don't want this to be right, but again, we have to respect what can happen with equities.
Wow. Well said, Bill. Definitely stay safe out there.
Yes, I will try. I got to sign off.
All of us.
And thanks for having me on the show.
All right, thank you, Bill. Okay. All right, everybody. I mean, wow. Things are going to get worse before they get better. Definitely not the news we all were hoping for, but I mean, sometimes we got to keep it 100, right? So just to kind of recap, so Bill is saying Ethereum is going to go lower, Bitcoin likely going down to 3,000, and the token metrics models also pretty much kind of have the same thought process, right? Because if we go to the short-term ratings versus versus the last few weeks, most grades in the top 5 or top 10 were 80% and higher. Some were even as high as 90%. So now for all the ratings to be under 80%, I mean, things are pretty rough out there. Pretty rough. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you think, are you guys fully in crypto right now, or are you on the sidelines? Let's see what people have to say. Okay, let me check the comments. Our fund says, man, unemployment will peak in 2 to 3 months. No way near anything as the real number yet. Yeah, we're definitely far from it. If the government buys the stocks, they are owners, and we're in communism, Felix says. Yeah, I mean, so the government is nationalizing equities in a way by buying them up. Even though they won't really say that, that's kind of what they're doing, right? That's basically crony capitalism. If government buys this, it's easier to exchange than gold and silver. Hey Sam, how are you? Great to have you here. Okay, all right. I think let's probably just hop straight into the AMA. Okay, all right. Let's take a look here. All right, so let's first hop into the token metrics rankings, the overall rankings. So if you haven't yet already, highly recommend you sign up for your 14-day free trial of token metrics. Having research like this is really crucial in times like this. Anyway, top 10 short-term ratings at the moment. Now, I wouldn't really call this top 10 because the ratings are low. So our models are not really bullish on crypto at the moment, unfortunately. But if you did have to trade, these are the top 10 trade opportunities in our opinion. Obviously not financial advice. Cosmos at 76.6%, Decred at 76.6%, Chainlink at 75.1%, Holochain at 73%, Bitcoin at 71.8%. So not so bullish on Bitcoin versus the other cryptocurrencies for short-term trading. Short-term meaning less than 1 month, less than 30 days. Maker at 71.4%, Huobi 71.1%, Algorand 70.3%, 0x 69.8%, Hedera Hashgraph at 69.1%. But honestly speaking, me myself, I probably would not even be dabbling in any of these at the moment. Maybe worst case, the ones above 75. So maybe the top 3. And if I really wanted to be risky, maybe in the top 70% and higher. But right now, this is pretty rough, to be honest. Okay, so these are the short-term ratings, short-term trading opportunities. We could even probably go the other way around and see. Let me see what's up today. Okay, not much is really up. The other products are still scoring. I see Verge here. But yeah, I mean, those are the ratings at the moment for short-term trading. Okay. All right. So now let's hop into the AMA. Okay. So this person is asking about Tika Tiwari's his 5 picks. We already put out a video on this, and we answered this on the last live stream. So if you go to, I'm guessing you're probably not subscribed to our Token Metrics channel, but if you go to our YouTube channel /Token Metrics, you'll see we have a video on this already. So let me see here. Yeah, this video right here. Tika Tiwari's. Oh wow, it already has 1,000 views. About the list of. Right, so just watch this video on our YouTube channel. Our channel is growing. So if you're watching this on my personal YouTube channel, definitely make sure you're subscribed to the Token Metrics channel, because we're putting out daily videos that we don't put on my personal channel. So you're definitely missing out. So highly recommend you subscribe to this channel. So anyway, yeah, just go and watch that video on Tika Tiwari's 5 coins to 5 million, and that should answer your question. Okay, all right. So hold on, let me just. So we'll be taking questions. Hold on, sorry. Let me just put down. How do I put Okay, we'll be taking questions for the next hour or so, and then we'll close the voting or question submission, and then we'll answer the rest of the questions. Okay, so let me just go through here and see what we have. Okay. All right, so this question says, do both of you think Bitcoin will hit its all-time high this year? I mean, I think it's tough to say. It's tough to say. So in terms of Bitcoin hitting its all-time high this year, I would say prior to the coronavirus, all of us were pretty optimistic that Bitcoin would hit the all-time high this year. But with recent events, it doesn't matter how bullish you are, I think you really have to be cautious with whatever prediction or projections you had. Because yes, we had the BTC halving, but if we're going into a global recession, and if we're going into stagflation, I think, as I mentioned this before, the right events have to happen at the right time for all of this to occur. I think for Bitcoin to hit its all-time high this year, 2 things have to happen, right? Because I mentioned this before, BTC is a hedge versus currency risk, and a hedge versus political risk. So currency risk being that inflation. So for inflation to rise, the purchasing power for people, for the average person, has to decrease. And that happens through inflation. So with the way quantitative easing is going here in America, that seems like it's going to happen. But it's very tough to predict when exactly it's going to happen and when exactly it's going to be felt, because we all know and we all believe it's going to happen, but lots of people like Peter Schiff and others have been saying this for the last 10 years, and the central banks, the Fed here in America, have been propping up equities markets by printing more and more money. That's why we had a 12-year bull run, the longest bull run in history, because the average bull run lasts 5 or 6 years, and we went 12 years without really having a bear market. So who knows? Maybe they keep on printing money and giving out helicopter money and keep on propping up capital markets, and this thing keeps on going. But I think eventually the dollar and fiat currencies will end up crashing. And I think when that happens, then BTC is well primed and positioned to do well. But I think you also have to add in the other element, right? The other political risk. You have to have governments really start either confiscating people's money, or we have basically people have to have something scare them so that they can flee to Bitcoin as a hedge. In China, lots of people were fleeing the Chinese yuan or renminbi to BTC as a hedge because they wanted to get the money out of China. Or, for example, what happened in Cyprus back in 2008 when the Cyprus government went and taxed all their people and took money from their bank account. So it's tough to say. I think we also have to factor in that here in America, we have the general election coming up in November. And I think that's really a very uncertain time. So lots of institutional investors might not really know how to play it. So they might wait to see what happens. So for instance, if the Democrats or a socialist ends up coming into power, I mean, then, and they want to do like huge taxes, that's political risk. That's something that will get lots of people to want to hedge and flee to Bitcoin. So I think those two events have to happen, and it's very tough to say whether they will happen this year. So I mean, honestly speaking, in my humble opinion, I don't think BTC goes to an all-time high this year. I mean, unless everything happens like 100 miles an hour where the dollar just crashes, boom, then maybe, right? But I think it's going to take a while for things to play out, because just looking into what's happening with Corona, right, and how that's affecting the economy. So obviously we're now in a bear market in equities, but things are going to get worse before they get better. That part we know. But companies haven't really began reporting earnings, and earnings will start trickling in end of this quarter, end of Q1, end of Q2. So by June, July, and all these travel industry companies, the airlines, the hotel chains, the restaurants, even supply chain, all these companies, once they start reporting bad earnings, then equities are going to drop even more, in my opinion. And when that happens, because crypto is not right now, all the institutions need liquidity. So kind of what happened before in the last few weeks. It didn't matter how BTC was being uncorrelated to equities. When equities tanked, everything tanked because people had to sell for cash. So if the same thing is going to happen again, once these companies start reporting earnings, if they're just selling to take profits to go to cash and they just want liquidity, it's tough to see how Bitcoin and crypto doesn't get affected in that time, right? So the fact that equities are going to go lower makes me think Bitcoin is going to go lower. And earlier in the show, we talked about how we think it can drop to 3,000 and Ethereum can go even lower. So if that happens, and then you also have the uncertainty of the election, people are probably not going to want to be on the sidelines because they might not know how to hedge, whether to be in fiat or to be in crypto. So those two events, I think, to me really screams that people will go for the wait and see approach as opposed to let me go all in or let me pick a particular side. I think the wait and see approach, the cautious approach, is what's going to be the norm. And because of that, I think it's basically unpredictable. So Bitcoin going to all-time high, going to 20,000 USD. It's unlikely, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't complain if BTC went there, but to say it's gonna happen before the end of the year is tough. I mean, but with the election in November and December happening, right? Let's say something crazy happens and Bernie Sanders wins. Oh, BTC to 20,000, I think. I mean, because he wants to tax the 1%. He wants to tax. I mean, I don't even know his tax bracket. Maybe like 50%, 70%. He wants to tax Wall Street with high frequency trading. So all these things, all right, that's political risk right there. And inflation is happening. Stagflation is going to happen with over 3 million jobless claims this month, and we think those numbers will keep on growing. And unemployment may hit 20%, which is pretty insane. So taking in all those things, I mean, long term, very bullish on Bitcoin and crypto, but right, to kind of, I guess, play the other side, Bitcoin and crypto has to do well this year. So even though I just said it's tough, because lots of events have to happen almost in sequence, crypto and Bitcoin has to do well this year. Otherwise, why are we even here? I mean, and this is somebody who has the Moon Lambo posters up here. I mean, if Bitcoin doesn't do well this year, why are we even here? I mean, because it's meant to be the hedge against inflation, against all this. So it's tough. But I mean, long story short, I think all those events, right, the currency risk, the political risk, have to happen. Not quite sure if they're going to happen all this year at the same time. But if you told me, okay, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, will all these events happen? I would say probably going to happen, in my opinion. So probably Bitcoin will hit its all-time high by the end of the year. I'm curious to see what people think. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think BTC is going to hit its all-time high this year? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let's see what people think. Democrats and the socialists, why pair them up? Hi from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Hey Derek, how are you? Good to have you here. Felix says my orders are set to 4,400 to 3K. Okay, that's good. Justin says, Ian, bought my first BTC in 2013. I'm an OG and used to BTC crashes, buying more at the moment. Yes, I mean, if you're in this for the long haul, now is really a good time to buy at a discount, to buy bargains, because this is really why we all want to invest, right? We live for times like this. You want to buy. So Warren Buffett has a saying. You want to buy. Sorry, not Warren Buffett, but I'm currently reading the book The Intelligent Investor. It's a classic, but it's a book I never really got around to. I'm going through it. It's a really good book. It's about value investing by Benjamin Graham, who was the mentor of Warren Buffett, and he basically says that you want to buy from pessimists and sell to optimists, right? What does that mean? That means that you want to buy from people that are not believers, people that are just looking to sell. You want to buy when there's blood in the streets, when people are forced to sell, either based on margin calls, liquidations, but basically when the entire market is red, that's when you want to buy. And then you want to sell when the market is green. You want to sell to moon boys. So in a way, you want to buy from wrecked people and you want to sell to moon boys. So obviously, not to make it simple, but that's kind of what the quote from Benjamin Graham says. You want to buy from people that are capitulating, people that are wrecked, right? Because that's when you'll get the best price. And then you want to sell to people that think this thing is going to the moon, to 100x, 1000x, after it's already gone up 100x. So you kind of want to have that perspective. And I think in times like this, it's definitely something good to kind of keep perspective. And one other thing to really add to that, trading, I know lots of people in crypto trade, but long term, trading isn't really the way to go, right? because think about this. Actually, this comes from a book from, I think, The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks. And he says that you have people that are trading a stock, but same thing can apply to crypto. Let's say a stock goes from $2 to $100, and people are patting themselves on the back for trading it from $2 to $5, from $10 to $20, from $30 to $40, from $50 to $70, from $80 to $90. And Howard Marks is like, man, like, you could have just bought that from $2 and held all the way to $100 and made a lot more money and not had fees taken out from trading. So, and also the short-term capital gains taxes. So, I mean, me myself, nowadays, I'm really entrenched in being an investor, an investor, a long-term investor, meaning that time frame 1 year or longer. Because just even looking at this because there's so many reasons why it pays, literally pays to be a long-term investor. Capital gains taxes. I mean, once you start making large trades and you start seeing your tax bill, you're like, I mean, what is going on here? Actually, I should have my soundboard here, right? Let me see.
I said, hold up.
Wait a minute.
Something ain't right.
So, I mean, because taxes will kill you. Trading fees will kill you. So, obviously, I can't speak for everybody, but I think having a long-term perspective makes you do the right things long-term, right? Because unless you're a professional trying to trade in and out of stocks and crypto is very tough and challenging. So I think because of that, you kind of have to have that approach. But let me know what you guys think. Okay, back to the comments here. Hello, Mohammed. Great to see you here. Sully says, I agree. In the next 3 years. Tiarelius, I probably butchered that. Have we seen the bottom of stocks already? I don't think so. I think we're going lower. Samir says, is this the birth of universal basic income? It looks like it. I mean, they're handing out checks, and it looks like Trump is live right now as well. I'm hosting this, I'm doing live stream at the same time as Trump. Okay, anyway, back to the AMA. Let me take a look. Okay, are you guys fans of BAT? If so, why do you like the project? I mean, can't really, let's see. Short term, right now, score is low. For long term, I definitely recommend you go and join Tokenmetrics for all the long term ratings. But short term, right now is not really the time for BAT. I mean, so just to kind of be fair to the people who are subscribed to Tokenmetrics, we're trying not to show everything. Otherwise, they complain. Okay, but I mean, BAT in general is listed on credible exchanges, Coinbase. It's used as collateral on platforms, on DeFi platforms, right? It's a collateral on DAI, Maker DAO and DAI. So I think it's a pretty decent project. That's kind of what I can really say right now at the moment, without really going into the full review of BAT. Okay, even if BTC price increases versus the US dollar, but if the US dollar itself is diluted, then it won't mean much. Your thoughts? Okay, so let me see if I can break that down. So if BTC price versus the dollar goes up, but the dollar itself has lost its, so basically the dollar has inflation if it's diluted, and the purchasing power has decreased, that should still be positive for Bitcoin, right? Because if the dollar goes down and BTC goes up, I mean, that's that's still positive for Bitcoin, unless you're going to be cashing out to dollars. But even if you cash out, you're getting more, right? So maybe we can even use a different currency as an example. So imagine, like, recently, about 2 weeks ago, our friend Costa, who's based in Australia, he told us the Australian dollar had gone down 10% versus the American dollar. So meaning that if you had $1,000 US, then after what happened with Black Thursday, or when equities just tanked because of coronavirus, your $1,000 became $1,100. So your purchasing power, if you're going from dollars to Australian dollars, increased by 10%, basically. So that's a good thing. I mean, actually, that's a great thing. But obviously now it's the Australian dollar, last time I checked, was up on Friday versus the US dollar. But in general, when one currency goes down and the other goes up, that's a good thing, right? So it's only bad if you're holding the currency that's going down, right? So those are really my thoughts. And if anything, I mean, I was joking with our business partners that after this global recession, after Corona, it might be a good time to travel, right? Like, let's say in 6 months, because as an American, the dollar is up a lot versus all the other currencies, because the dollar is kind of like Bitcoin, right? Kind of like when the market is tanking in crypto, people sell their altcoins to go to BTC. And same thing, right? And in the global markets, when there's a crisis, especially in emerging markets, they sell their local currency to go to the US dollar. So for example, our friend in Dubai was saying that everybody in Dubai, like when there's a crisis like now, they all want to leave their local currency to buy the US dollar. So that's why the US dollar has performed pretty well versus all the other world currencies. But long term, we aren't so bullish on the dollar, right? We think inflation and everything's going to happen. But imagine, like, I think in some countries, the currency dropped 25%. And imagine you pull up there with your bag of US dollars and you're getting 25% more. Because I have a friend of mine, this was a while back, but he traveled to Argentina when Argentina was experiencing inflation. I think might even have been hyperinflation. And he told me he was eating steak and wine at such low prices, it was insane. But anyway, I think if you love traveling, next 6 or 12 months, if you save your cash and also Bitcoin, or rather, if you have some US dollars and Bitcoin, you can get very good deals when you travel to other countries, and your currency goes a long way. But the dollar has gone up. I still think it's going to come down. So if anything, I think gold is a better hedge. I think gold and Bitcoin, gold and crypto, right? I think that would be a better hedge, because one thing we can't really forget, gold is not meant to make you a millionaire, right? Gold is not meant to make you rich per se. It can make you rich, but gold is meant to preserve your wealth, to preserve capital. So for instance, through hyperinflation, right? Because imagine you have $1,000 and hyperinflation occurs, and in basically a few years, maybe even less, those $1,000 become only worth $100 or even $10. But if you have that in gold, those $1,000 can stay $1,000 or even turn into $10,000 or $100,000. Right? That's what gold is really for. Don't view it as this is going to make me rich per se, although it can. It's viewed more as this is going to protect my wealth. It's not going to tank and experience hyperinflation. That's why lots of investors flee to gold in times like this. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next question. If BTC does drop, what is a good buy-in price? If BTC drops, okay, I mean, I think we kind of already mentioned this on the show. 3,000 is the target that the bill has. So, I mean, obviously it's different for all kinds of traders and investors. But if we go to what our models, let me see what our predictions are saying right now. Okay, the predictions, these predictions for them, they're bullish. They're kind of going the other way. But I mean, looking at the charts that Bill had, if it does drop, let's say like this, let's say this ends up being wrong and this ends up dropping, then I think 3,000 is really the target. I mean, kind of, I would have to defer to Bill on the TA. Right? If his TA says BTC could drop all the way down to 3,000, then I mean, have your targets somewhere around there, but probably maybe even lower. But I would say leave that for the traders. Okay, all right, let's go to the next question. Let me just take a look here. Okay. Donald Trump is a bit of a retard, isn't it? I think we all know, so you don't need to answer this one. Well, I mean, I haven't really shared my political thoughts. I mean, I myself subscribe as independent. I don't really have any affiliation with either party, Democrats or Republicans. I think they're all crazy. I mean, not that I'm a conspiracy, but I don't think it makes sense for any rational person to blindly follow a particular party or school of thought, right? Because I feel like the moment you do that, you stop really being rational or logical, right? If you say I'm just going to be Republican or Democrat no matter what, I mean, I don't really think that's the case. I mean, now, because to me, I think both sides of the spectrum, right? This is kind of off tangent, but just to answer the question, both sides of the spectrum really manipulate you, right? And I feel like you have to really be your own individual and go against the grain. You have to be a contrarian, right? Now, with that being said, though, right? I myself, I didn't vote in the last election, and actually, I couldn't vote technically, but this year I can vote because I became a naturalized American. But I don't even think I'm going to vote. But going back to the past election, me and my friends, well, actually, a few of my friends, just looking at the elections and the debates, I mean, we thought with a very high probability that Donald Trump would win. And not really based on any kind of like analytics or data, but just based on the marketing and persuasion but anyway, I would say I recommend you read the book Win Bigly by Scott Adams. He's the famous creator of the Dilbert cartoons. He does a great job of breaking down those videos. I mean, Trump's speech and debates. I mean, because that guy is a master debater in a way. Actually, then there's also this other video from Charisma on Demand that really breaks it down. This is very off topic, but I think this will be educational, right? Because let me find the video. Charisma on Command Trump. So I recommend you watch these videos. This video is called Why Trump Will Smash Hillary. This was 3 years ago, before he actually won. And he goes through a systematic breakdown of everything Trump was doing. Now, if you can kind of put aside your differences, whether you're Democrat, Republican, and just look at this from, okay, let me just look at the raw information, because you kind of like what we do as traders or investors, and just look at everything that's happening. Because looking at the upcoming elections, I don't really know if Biden even has a chance, to be honest. I mean, because his his campaign doesn't really, is it, his a safe play. His campaign isn't really getting people out there to vote. I mean, I think if anything, Bernie would have been a more enticing pick for liberals, but even with him, the status quo, the system doesn't want him to win, right? The Democrats don't want Bernie to win, right? They're gonna shaft Bernie again. So, I mean, then you have Biden, who's really just a safe play, and imagine him and Trump debating. I mean, Trump is gonna roast him alive, because that's what he does, like Trump's way with words. And I think I kind of have unique perspective because a lot of people live in their own echo chamber, right? Like I have lots of friends who said, even a while back during the last election, they had no idea Trump was even had any kind of interest in the country, right? And most of these people live on the coast, right? Either they live on New York City, right, or DC, or right, because I'm in like Democrat country, right? And then you also have people in California, where anybody who talks about Trump is basically lynched, right? So they live in their echo chamber, and they were so shocked that half the country, half of America, voted for this man. But me, I mean, because for those who know my history, when I came to America, my family lived in Pennsylvania, in the middle of Pennsylvania. This is like Republican country, right? So in middle school, right, from 4th to 7th grade, I was basically in Republican country, where you go in class, and back then I was more heavily liberal, right, heavily Democrat, kind of like brainwashed before I became independent, and we were in the minority, right? Like these kids, as soon as they turned 12, their parents would take them hunting for deers, you know, like that kind of place where when you turn 12, you go and hunt deers. It's like basically NRA, National Rifle Association country. And I grew up in places like that. Then I must have grown up in places like Maryland and DC, where it's the exact opposite, where if you're a Republican, you're in the minority. So because of that, I think I have both perspectives, and I know that half of the country isn't like super liberal. So because looking at it, every single election, it's the same thing. Like if you just put your political differences aside and just look at every single election, right? The same thing happens, they just flip. And what exactly happens is you have one party, the winning party, that they get into power by claiming the other side basically messed everything up, right? They said, so for example, going back to Bill Clinton, right? George Bush got into power by saying Democrats messed everything up. So George Bush comes into power. Then the losing party basically says the winning party is the next coming of Hitler, and everything they do is wrong, right? So Democrats would just roast and attack Bush for the next 8 years. Then roles flipped. Obama came into power. Then, right, the Republicans said Obama was a terrorist. He was working for Al Qaeda, right? They made fun of his name, Barack Hussein Obama, right? That's what they do. And now roles flipped again. Trump came into power, and now you have Democrats saying Trump is the next coming of Hitler, he's racist, whatever, right? So these things happen all the time. So I think once you realize that, you don't really get into the game of the media, of the mainstream media, right? I don't really follow the mainstream media at all, because they're all selling you something. They're all selling you a story, right? Whether it's Fox News, like Fox News is going to sell you the conservative Republican story, no matter what, right? Then you have Democrats on MSNBC, they will sell you the liberal story, no matter what. Like you could come to either side, can come to the other side with straight facts. Doesn't matter. They will stick by their confirmation bias and their angle, because that's how they make their money, right? And I think once you have that, you really lose faith in the mainstream media. So that's why I don't really follow news. That's why I don't like subscribing to either party. I like just being in the middle, being an independent. So every single person, because there's some Democrats I like, there's some Republicans I like. And I think being able to be flexible like that is something that's needed to really stay rational when it comes to politics. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm crazy. Let me check the comments here. Except the media sides with liberals. Well, I mean, I would say the media, yes, the media right now is heavily liberal, right? But once things flip, right, it's probably going to be the other way around, right? But anyway, it's kind of tough to say. Do you think we'll have election anymore? Republicans would gladly forego voting, especially with the virus. I don't know. It could be. But I mean, actually, speaking of that, I think it would be, because if the Republicans cancel the elections because of they declare a national emergency, because coronavirus is probably going to have cooled down by then, right? And if they do that, there would be so much stuff going on. It's not even funny, right? So I don't think that it's going to happen, right? But I think I still don't know why we don't have online voting, right? That's really a good use case for blockchain voting, because the fact that we have to go, because it's 21st century, we're in 2020, the fact that we have to go and wait in line doesn't really make much sense to me. What dashboard are you looking at? Looking at tokenmetrics.com, that's our platform. Best Food says mainstream is not going to be using gold to buy groceries. What's the real solution? The real solution, I don't really. Okay, let me ramble a bit on this. So, Best Food says mainstream is not going to be using gold to buy groceries. What's the real solution? The real solution is something the American people don't really want, right? I say America because I'm based in America, but in other countries, it's probably the same thing. The real solution is to let the economy crash. Take the short-term pain, the short-term hit, take our medicine in the short term to have a better future, to have a better long-term future. And because looking at things, right? Currencies have been propped up with quantitative easing, inflation, and printing more money is not the solution. Printing more money decreases the value of our money today, right? So all of us young people will be the ones who have to pay for this, because the purchasing power will take a big hit. What do I mean by that? Meaning that whatever it takes you to buy, the cost of buying something, whether it's looking at the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. So imagine what it takes you to buy groceries each week. The cost of that will go up. So the central banks, the Federal Reserve, wants to keep the price of the dollar going up. But yes, the price of currencies can go up while you're losing purchasing power due to inflation. So the fact that we're going to experience inflation and the fact that we're going to go through a recession means we'll be going through what's known as stagflation. So that's when your purchasing power is going down. So if it costs you, let's say, $500 to feed your family on groceries each month, it might go up to $600, let's say, for example, right? While unemployment is going from, let's say, I don't know, 3% to 15%. So you have more people will be unemployed while things are more expensive. So, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that's the answer. I mean, obviously, I'm no economist, but I mean, I do read lots of books on economy, and looking at what the other experts and analysts who study this full time say, I mean, that's really what's going to happen. So, kind of like with a stock, you can't keep going up indefinitely. BTC can't keep going up indefinitely. It had to come back, self-correct. So that's why the markets move in cycles. We go through a bull market, then we go through a bear market where things self-correct, because you need that process of self-correction to recalibrate prices, because prices have shot up through the roof to a point where they're ridiculous. They're crazy. So you have to self-correct. You have to have that process almost of self-reflection. So until we have that process, things will not get better. We're kicking the can down the road. So all these global governments and central banks printing more money and kicking the can down the road, eventually this house of cards will collapse. And when that happens, it's going to be a bigger, badder, meaner recession. So, for example, looking at what happened in 2008, right, during the financial crisis. Yes, we went through a recession, but we didn't really take our medicine. Central banks just printed more money, right? Billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, which really put us into the biggest bull run in history. But they should just, so in a way, I do kind of side with Peter Schiff. I think we really need less government and less regulation. So in a way, you could say I do kind of ascribe to libertarian principles, but I wouldn't really classify myself as a libertarian. I like the term independent, right? Because I don't like being with any kind of party. But yeah, I mean, I think that's really the solution. Just let things crash, self-correct, prices reset, recalibrate, and we'll have a healthier future. Until that happens, it's going to be very, very tough. Okay, let's go back to some of the comments here. Is it better to ETF from the seller, for example, Vanguard, instead of buying it from another broker? I think it depends where you're getting it. Honestly, I would say depends on your situation and circumstance. I know lots when I was with IBM, I got my ETFs through Fidelity because that was the broker that IBM used for our 401k. So everything depends. If you're investing and trading, but if you're getting an ETF, I would assume you're investing. So you're probably thinking long term. If you can do it through your employer through a 401k because you have tax benefits for doing that, maybe use that. But if you're not doing that, then yes, you can get it through a broker like Vanguard or somebody else. Stocks are not accessible as crypto for most of the world. That is true. Hello, Ian from France. Even investing does get taxes because as soon as you have capital gain, you will be taxed. Okay. Ian, what about decentralization of our internet? I've read today Google, Facebook, YouTube, etc. are compromising our locations, likes, and movements. Yeah, I mean, anything online it can be tracked. So unless you're on a site that's known for being secure and not sharing any of their data or logs to subpoenas or governments, assume it can be tracked. Okay, all right, let me see if there are any other questions here. Ian, done well, right? Well done. Right place, right time. But nowadays the rules have changed. Yes, the rules have changed, and we're all waiting to see how things adapt. Okay. Utility works in 2020, not token metrics. Veteran, I would say, I mean, have you used the platform? I'm not sure if you saw, but I mean, token metrics has been doing well. I mean, when we say token metrics, it has evolved, right? So now we're doing code reviews, we're doing deep fundamental analysis, we're doing technical analysis through our analysts and also through our machine learning. So, I mean, this is not the 2017 token metrics we're talking about here. Okay. So, I mean, I don't really think you can say it's not working when we have lots of wins this year that disprove that. Okay, all right, back to the AMA. Got me off a tangent with politics. Okay, my biggest hope for Ethereum. My biggest hope for Ethereum would be that DeFi really takes off. But I think for DeFi to take off, they have to solve the issue and challenges when it comes to regulation and compliance, when it comes to trading securities, when it comes to KYC AML, because we've seen what the SEC has done with EtherDelta and other platforms that are decentralized in nature. And I think the other thing they have, because I mean, long term, I'm a believer in DeFi, and I think the big hope is that derivatives market on Ethereum and crypto will be huge. And that's really going to happen on Ethereum, in my opinion. Ethereum is currently the leader in that segment. If we go to equities, the derivatives market is huge, drastic. I mean, from options to futures, I mean, it's ridiculous. I believe it's $500 billion market. So imagine if that market now starts shifting over to Ethereum, and imagine we start having security tokens and tokenized equities and tokenized derivatives, right? Imagine if we have derivatives for Apple, for Tesla on the Ethereum blockchain in DeFi. That is huge, but that's not going to happen until we have the KYC compliance, regulation, all that solved. So my big hope for Ethereum is for them to get their legal and compliance together when it comes to DeFi, for Ethereum 2.0 to work, right? Because they've been saying it's going to launch for several years now. So they just have to launch, have it do well, have DeFi do well. And if that happens, I think by 2030, Ethereum will surpass Bitcoin in market cap. Now, that's just my opinion. I know that BTC maximalists don't agree with me, but guess what? That's the whole point. Because if you're doing what everybody else thinks, then what's your edge, right? Because to really make money, you have to go against the grain. You can't be average. So that's my big hope for Ethereum. All right, let's go to the next question. Can crypto really change the way we place out trust in fiat and completely replace it within the next 10 years? So let me rephrase that. Basically, can crypto replace fiat currencies and our trust in them in the next 10 years? I think that's why we're in crypto. So, I mean, I think yes, it can, but I think for that to happen, fiat currencies have to crash, unfortunately, because that's when the whole world will really lose trust in them. Until that happens, until there's a huge, in psychology, when somebody like blows up or erupts, anybody who watches Criminal Minds, great show by the way. So, for example, like how does somebody become, probably a bad example, but how does somebody become, like just snap and turn into like a serial killer, right? And do something crazy that nobody would really thought of, right? Because sometimes people can just be regular people and just snap and go crazy. So they call this a stressor, right? That person usually has some kind of event in their life that just makes them snap. So for instance, somebody could be, because in psychology, it's kind of like this. They say that, I think, your genes give you the gun, your environment loads the gun with a bullet. Then I think something else, maybe like the stressor or something else pulls the bullet. All right, so basically, it's just saying that there are lots of, like, nobody's born a serial killer. Like, it comes from lots of different factors, like your genes, like maybe you have a mutation or something, and you have a tendency to possibly be, like, maybe you're a psychopath, but not all psychopaths become serial killers, right? So maybe you're a psychopath, but then you end up growing up, maybe both your parents abused you, or you went through foster home after foster home, right? And then maybe something happened and somebody wronged you, or somebody hurt you or died or whatever, and right, all those several events then cause you to end up becoming a Dexter type killer, right? not the best example, but what I'm trying to say, you have a stressor event. So I think for currencies to have their trust just totally killed, there has to be a stressor event globally, right? Whether it's the dollar crashing, whether it's something else, right? But let's take the dollar crashing. That would be a stressor event that will cause everybody to question fiat currencies, because they'll say, wow, if the dollar can crash, these things aren't really worth anything. Anything could happen. So, because right now people believe in fiat currencies, so that belief has to be questioned, and for that to happen, a stressor event has to occur, in my opinion. And then crypto just really has to solve all the issues and evolve, and I think that takes time. In 10 years, I think that's possible. I mean, that's why we're seeing now lots of other central banks are talking about creating their own digital currencies, and even recently, during the coronavirus bill that was going through Congress, they briefly had in there creating a US digital dollar, but then they had to take it out. So that is something that I think is definitely going to happen. 10 years from now, there will be, in my opinion, a digital currency. But for crypto to really be the way to go, either the central banks adopt it and create their own tokenized or US dollar on a cryptocurrency, on a blockchain, or the dollar crashes and they create some kind of way, maybe like a gold-backed stablecoin, or right, something like that. So going back to your question, let me see your question here. Can crypto really change the way we place trust in fiat? Yes, I think it can, but fiat has to crash. So that's why lots of people in the crypto space are really rooting for fiat to crash, unfortunately. But because we all see that fiat is not worth the paper it's printed on, right? It's just backed by the trust of the government, and the government has been dishonest. It's wronged the people. It's kept on printing and printing and printing money, and until the entire world realizes that this method, this experiment, cannot last, I don't really see crypto changing the way we place trust in fiat, right? Because everything has to come crashing down, unfortunately, for crypto to have a chance. And now they can coexist, but it will never replace fiat until fiat goes through a large crash, unfortunately. But that's just my opinion. All right, let's go to the next question. What's your take on BitDAO? Also, after they've been knighted by Binance to step into DeFi. I've not heard of BitDAO, unfortunately. This is the first time I hear of them. A DAI-typed stablecoin on Binance chain. So it's a stablecoin on Binance. Okay, I mean, I would say we would have to look more into it, but this guy looks really young. I mean, like a teenager. Baby face. Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked much into it, unfortunately. But I mean, if you guys would like us if you would like to submit products for us to look into, do it on the forum. We're in the process of probably migrating over from the feedback and everything. I'm moving everything onto the forum. So just go to the forum, go to investing, for example, and just post the projects you want us to take a look at. Then each week our team will go through there and find products to take a look at. So that's forum.tokenmetrics.com. Okay. Next question. Do you see China using blockchain, especially Neo, as it's their own product, or maybe Ethereum as a way of helping to help out with further pandemics like COVID? If so, and how? Good question. So in my opinion, I think there's no way China adopts Ethereum. There's no way Ethereum becomes the biggest platform or the main platform in China. As somebody who's traveled to China when I was going to see KuCoin, I mean, that VPN is strong. That Chinese VPN, that Chinese firewall, I mean, I had to try 3 different VPN. I had to buy and try 3 different VPNs just to find one that could get me past the firewall. So I mean that showed me, obviously it's anecdotal, but it showed me that if their VPN is that strong and they don't want anybody to read content outside of China that's not pro-Chinese, I mean, I don't really see how they're gonna let a decentralized blockchain that they can't really be in cahoots with exist in China. Obviously, people can still have access to it, but I don't think they'll allow it to become the big primary chain in China because of that. I mean, that's why no American company has really broken through in China. I mean, even Uber tried to go in China, they couldn't. They had to just end up investing in a Chinese version of them. And that's why WeChat is huge. I mean, Facebook has tried it, Google has tried it, Baidu ended up killing them, right? All the non-Chinese companies have tried to go into China and they've all failed. They either have to partner up with somebody else. So because of that, I think it's going to be Neo or Ontology's game to win, right? I think China will only allow a Chinese blockchain to be big, and even then, I'm not really sure it will be a true blockchain because I feel like they'll have to. The Chinese government would like to control it in some fashion, right? So just to answer your question, in my opinion, I don't think it's possible. I think a Chinese project will win in China. All right. Okay, this question, you guys really want me to come up with hot takes, huh? All right. What are your thoughts on the government's handling of the virus, and what would you do different if you could? Thanks. So, I mean, I would say, what government are you talking about? I'm just going to assume you're talking about the American government because I'm based in America. I mean, I think they reacted too slow. I mean, I think they should have just locked that thing down. So kind of what China did. China just put the entire country on lockdown for, I think, almost 2 months. But you also have to understand how the legal system works here in America, right? Here we have 50 states and territories, and then we have the national government. So in each state, they have their own government. And the way the Constitution was created, each state basically has the power to decide what happens in that state. And the national government, basically the judicial branch, the legislative branch, basically Congress, judicial branch is Supreme Court law, then the executive branch, which is the White House, basically Trump's administration, right? All three of them kind of have their own limited power. They have power, but they can't just tell the states what to do in some particular things, right? So for instance, recently Trump kind of teased or talked about possibly putting parts of New York on quarantine. And the governor of New York State said, that's illegal. You can't tell us what to do, right? So because of that, I think people are kind of blaming, I mean, because that's what the media does. They always blame, the opposing side blames the side in power for never doing anything, right? So the media is blaming Trump for not doing much, but when you have the governor of New York telling the government, hey, you can't tell us what to do, I mean, what are you to do? Okay, so I mean, I think some states and their governments and the governors have done well. Like here in Maryland, they've done a good job, right? I think the governor here has done a good job in terms of quarantining and closing schools, closing down non-essential businesses. But I think that's something that we were kind of debating with some friends earlier, right? They're saying that China, because they have, I think the term is authoritarian rule, they could lock down the country and close down the coronavirus a lot more effectively than a democracy, where you have to go through and respect state laws and also people's rights. So because of that, I don't really think America was in a position to ever handle the coronavirus effectively, because there's so much red tape you have to go through. Like unless the president issues like some kind of martial law where he says, you know what, for the next 1 or 2 months, we're going to put all the rules out the window and just lock down all of America. But instead, they kind of have to take a piecemeal approach, right? A slow approach. But I think what they could have done better is just have locked everything down. But I know there are some legal things they would have to kind of follow to do that, right? But that's kind of my take on that. Now let me just go back to the question and see if there's anything else I missed. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what I would have done differently, but obviously I'm not a lawyer, so I know there are laws you have to follow. Okay, next question. Aztec protocol is now part of the Ethereum layer 2 regarding privacy. Do you think Matic can also be part of the Ethereum layer 2 game? So I mean, yes, I have heard of Aztec protocol. We actually were talking about this on the recent Token Metrics professional private group calls. Let me pull up Aztec protocol for those who haven't looked into it. So just to kind of give a quick overview, right? So they bring privacy onto Ethereum, right? So you can have private payments in one line of code. I think it's definitely worth looking into. I haven't delved into all the details, but my understanding is it's kind of like a mixer where you send, I believe, your tokens to a smart contract or something. Then they give you other tokens like ZK DAI, which you can then use to do whatever you want. And then that's kind of all I know. So not gonna delve deeper into that. I haven't read all the documentation and stuff. But going back to your question, do I think Matic can be part of the Ethereum layer 2 game? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, because my understanding is Matic is already a layer 2 solution for Ethereum, right? So not quite sure what you mean by can they also be a part of that, right? Because Matic has been out for a while, and they're supposed to be launching proof of stake. Right? I mean, yeah, they'll be launching staking soon, if not already. So my understanding is Matic already is a layer 2 solution on Ethereum. And they also do have lots of other chains as well that they now work with, I believe. Okay, next question. What do I think about Digitex Futures Exchange? Launches in less than 30 days. I've never used any of the exchanges. I do know they had a scandal with I think the founder, was it Todd, and the developers. But basically, I mean, I myself would stay away, but I've never used their exchanges. I don't really do much trading, or any trading at all for that matter. So I would definitely not be using any kind of futures exchange at the moment. If not crypto or fiat right now, or even metals right now, what would you do with your fiat now to mitigate risk in the short term to the medium term? Okay, so this is something we recently answered. We sent out an email to our Token Metrics customers, basically telling them how we would invest in the recession in times like this, and how we would hedge in times like this. So if you're a customer, check your email. Now this is for people on the $100 plan and above. So if you're on the basic plan, you would not get this email. This is the premium newsletter email we send out every week or two. So I would say, in general, you want to hedge. You want to hedge against all kinds of risk. So what we kind of covered in that letter is stablecoin lending. I mean, that's why we had the recent DeFi video live stream on Thursday. Actually, no, sorry, on Friday with Roscoe. Definitely recommend you check that out. But I wouldn't be in straight cash, because cash, you're going to lose purchasing power as well. I would go on Celsius or Compound. I would go on multiple platforms, right? I would use multiple platforms to, let's say you have DAI, you could earn 7% annual interest on DAI, right? And you can also lend out crypto that you have. So if you're holding BTC, maybe don't just hold BTC, maybe have like 25% that you lend out to earn some interest on that. Obviously not everything, because you want to hedge against possibly any of the centralized platforms crashing or screwing the customers. And you also want to hedge against, don't put all your money into one DeFi platform, because what if something happens, kind of like what happened with MakerDAO a few weeks back. So you want to hedge against all kinds of things. So I would say if you have, let's say, $1,000, and you want to lend that out, I would say maybe put, I'll break it up into chunks. So put some into Celsius, and lend out via DAI, put some into Compound, put some into Nuo, put some into BlockFi. So you're spreading everything around. You're doing lending. So if you're putting $1,000 into DAI, you could put, for example, 250 on Celsius, 250 on Compound, 250 on Nuo, 250 on BlockFi or BlockFi. So if BlockFi crashes, you don't lose everything. If Compound crashes or gets hacked, you don't lose everything. If Celsius gets hacked or crashes, whatever, yes, they have insurance, but let's say the insurance says it's crypto, no. Anything could happen. So I would say hedge by looking into other means like that. I will be doing a joint webinar with Rasco coming up soon. So if you didn't watch the video interview I had with him, just go to webinarlive.com/DeFi, webinarlive.com/DeFi to sign up. So actually, this is the most recent one coming up, but this will be regular. All right, so webinarlive.com/DeFi. I'll be doing a DeFi video with him on this, basically on how to secure your investments in times like this. So definitely recommend you go and sign up if you haven't yet already. This is the time right now, but we'll be having others as well in the future if you missed this. So definitely recommend you check that out. Okay, all right. Let me go to the next question. In a reset scenario where the economy resets from the dollar being inflated away, do you think BTC would be popular as a store of value, barter instrument, more or less than metals? Okay, let me just go through that again, just to make sure I understand your question. Okay, so if everything is reset and the economy is reset and the dollar has inflation, do I think Bitcoin is going to be a popular form of storing value? And for bartering, so you put in bartering in there, which is interesting. More so versus gold and silver. So you kind of have two differing schools of thoughts on this. So you have like the crypto moon boys school of thought, and you have the gold moon boys school of thought, kind of like the Peter Schiff versus the Pomps of the world, in a way. So, historically speaking, Bitcoin and metals have been widely used around the world as forms of bartering. Gold, like if we can go as far back in history, and gold has always been used as a way to exchange goods and for anybody with goods, right? So if you have a good or service that you want to offer somebody, gold coins were used, silver coins were used, right? Looking at the US dollar, right? The term even dollar, I believe, means a form of gold, like a measure of gold. I'm not sure exactly how much it is, but the term dollar itself comes from gold. So before America left the gold standard, you could go and take your dollar bills. They're really receipts for gold or silver, right? You could take them to let's say like the Federal Bank or anywhere, give them that receipt, the dollar bills, and on there it was basically like the numbers and everything for the gold, kind of like a barcode, right? And they would give you you could actually exchange them for physical gold, for actual precious metals. And same thing with silver, right? And the coins and everything. Then we got off the gold standard and everything kind of, and the rest is history. So because of that, I mean, we already know precious metals were great for bartering. I mean, that's how everything was done before, right? So can crypto surpass that or supplant that? Not in the short term. I mean, people are still dealing with hexadecimal addresses and wallets and everything. I mean, so for example, somebody paid me because I went out with lunch with I went out for dinner with some crypto people here in DC, and he paid me back because I covered the dinner. He paid me his part of dinner with DAI, and I was like, oh, cool, you know. He sends me the DAI. Now, because this was somebody I was just meeting for the first time, I didn't want to give them my real Ethereum wallet address, so I just opened up Trust Wallet, made a new Ethereum address, right? Because obviously you guys know, right? I'm Ian Bellina, and when I give somebody my wallet address, that can end up being shared in like a million forums, and people are tracking everything I'm doing. So I'm very cautious with things like this. So, because this was somebody that's meeting for the first time, I made a new wallet address, gave it to him. He sent me $20. I was like, okay, cool. You know, I have some DAI. Then, a few days later, I'm trying to move the DAI. I was like, oh wow, I can't move the DAI because I don't have any Ether in that new wallet address. So I have to now hop onto some other exchange or platform, send Ether there. But then, because I don't want people to track where this wallet is doing, I have to be cautious and send from like an exchange or some other place where nobody can track that is coming from me. I can't send Ether from I can't send Ether from my normal wallet address that has Ether, because then that defeats the whole point of trying to stay low key. so going through all these gymnastics just to get $20 of DAI that's owed to me, and I'm like, what would the average person have? Would the average person even do this? I mean, because I'm in crypto, and this is a pain, right? Going through all these hoops just to get my $20. So until crypto becomes frictionless, I mean, because the volatility in crypto will not allow it, at least right now, from becoming a means of bartering, right? And I think that's why stablecoins were created. But even stablecoins, they depend on, for example, DAI depends on Ethereum. So I think we really need a stablecoin that can just be by itself. Either that or the wallets should just automatically handle the transaction fee of sending and receiving, right? Because that's what exchanges do, and I think some other wallets might do that. I would have to check into that. But in terms of bartering, that part, it's not going to happen anytime soon, right? Maybe down in the future, maybe 10 years down the road, but crypto is still nascent. It's still young. We're still going through lots of growing pains. It's like the internet in the 1990s. So we're definitely not in the year 2020 where we have TikTok and Instagram and Venmo, right? We're not even we're basically in PayPal, like PayPal in early 2000s, maybe late 1990s. We haven't yet achieved Venmo status yet. And then, do you think BTC will be a more popular store of value? Not yet. I mean, right now, even now, I mean, the gold has been around for a long time. Precious metals have been around for a long time. Bitcoin is a new kid on the block. So it's going to take us a long time before we even ever surpass gold. For Bitcoin to become more popular than gold, Bitcoin would have to moon, go past its all-time high, and probably even go to 100,000 or more. Because the gold market cap is, I think, about 10 trillion, give or take. Right? And Bitcoin is not even anywhere close to that. Right? So we definitely have a long way to go. Right? I know we're all in crypto, and we all believe crypto is going to the moon. But looking at things today, I mean, Bitcoin still has a long way to go for it to surpass gold and silver and precious metals in general in terms of popularity. I mean, it is possible, obviously. That's why we're in crypto. But when a reset happens, when the economy crashes, precious metals have kind of already proven their use case. Bitcoin, this would be the first time, right, that Bitcoin would be going through something like this. So it's still very experimental until we can definitively say that, okay, we've gone through the first reset and Bitcoin survived. If it survives, then yes, Bitcoin is gonna go to the moon and beyond. But this is all just speculation, right? While precious metals have already survived crashes before. So as a result, I would have to say that probably not likely at the moment. Okay, all right. How are we doing here? Let me just close the submission of, let me turn on that. Okay. Zilliqa has been one of the most solid crypto projects that does not get a lot of recognition because of its small cap. In your opinion, what is your long-term prediction on Zilliqa? Well, for long-term, I would say join tokenmetrics.com. That's why we have the ratings there. Short-term, what I can say is not the best pick for us short-term, but for long-term, I would say definitely check out the rating on tokenmetrics.com. Just gonna have to say that just to kind of keep things moving along, because we can't be delving deep into every single project. We get this question almost every single live stream. If you could choose just one coin that could possibly 100x, what would it be? Okay, I mean, so not to sound like a broken record, if I could choose one coin that could do 100x, this is a coin I'm currently mining right now. It's a cryptocurrency I'm currently mining. Obviously, this is not meant to be like a hyperbole video or like definitely not financial advice, but I've been mining Helium. Helium.com, the Helium network. They're basically building a decentralized wireless network for IoT devices. So the competition, they're trying to replace carriers that have developers who have to develop for IoT devices, like could be Apple smartwatch or any kind of IoT device who need internet access. But as opposed to going through Verizon or other carriers, they can leverage their decentralized internet. So the reason why I say I think they can do 100x, because the question is asking what can do 100x. I mean, there was no ICO, right? No IEO. It's a coin that you mine. So it's literally starting from zero. And even now, I'm not sure what the supply is. Let me see if I can pull up their supply actually. Give me. Let's see if we can calculate this right here on the spot actually. So I've not even logged into my Helium wallet in a while. So just bear with me. Yeah, where the heck is my wallet? Okay, here we go. Okay, that doesn't seem to be loading. Actually, let me see if we even have this online. That'll be better. Helium network blockchain explorer. Let's see if this is online. Okay, yeah, seems they actually that this is not the right Helium. Yeah, so don't confuse this, because it seems there's another project that has so don't confuse it, because it's not trading anywhere, so don't confuse it with the other Helium. Yeah, because their token is HNT. Yeah, I don't think they have a blockchain explorer anywhere. Okay, so back to the wallet here. Okay, so let us see. So right now they have over 3,200 hotspots. Circulating supply is about 25 million, almost 26 million. Okay, so let's just do the math here. So 26 million, and OTC, I know it's trading on some Helium Reddits for anywhere from 10 to 30 cents, give or take. All right, so circulating supply, let's say 26 million circulating supply. And let's do the max. Let's say it's selling for 30 cents. That means their market cap would be 7.8 million, right? Worst case. Then if we go low case is, if we do what, 10 cents, 2.6 million. So basically it's a micro cap project. People are asking, Ian, what's a low cap project you like? Well, I mean, I haven't really been like buying or adding money into crypto. I've just been mining Helium. And that's a project, I mean, I frankly like a lot. I've read their white paper. It's very technical. Now, the main thing is, or the main concern is, it's a US project. And because of that, the regulation of the SEC is just a hassle. So it's not trading anywhere. They had no IEO, no ICO. Not even sure where it's going to be trading. So right now, the only way to get it is just by mining it. So I bought this device. It's basically like a router. You just plug it in and it just mines. And that's really it. You just plug it in, plug and forget. Okay, plug and forget is a good motto I like. So I paid about, I think it was $495, almost $500. Then I know they had a promotion where I think it was $400 now. Yeah, so now, yeah, so it's reduced from $495 to $350. And let's see here. I'm seeing here 10% of the sales. I mean, at this point, they should just make me an affiliate because I've been talking about them so much. But anyway, I mean, this is, so to answer your question, because I think if we go to IOTA, I don't think, do we have, we should have IOTA in here. IOTA's market cap is 368 million, right? And this was 7, right? So let's just see it. Let's say it gets into IOTA status, right? So 368 divided by, I said what, 7? Let's do 8. So that would be about a 46x. And just to kind of pull up IOTA, just to kind of compare, because IOTA is also doing, right, a permissionless distributed ledger for a new economy. It's also for IoT devices. Kind of different. I haven't really done a deep dive into IOTA, so not gonna know all of that. But anyway, back to this, right? So this is a project I'm basically all in on. Obviously, this is just my opinion. Don't go out there and buy this, and because this is cryptocurrency, things can lose money, things can get wrecked, right? I do have a long-term perspective. I'm a long-term investor on this, and the fact that I just paid $500 for it, just leave it on. Don't even look at it. Don't even check into it. I'll check back 5 years later, and hopefully it's worth something. If it goes to zero, I only lost $500. I mean, so to me, that is like the downside to the versus the possible risk. I mean, possible return versus risk. The risk to reward ratio to me is pretty good, very, very good. Because worst case, I lose $500, right? I mean, okay, maybe if you factor in the power and electricity I spent on it, right? But even with that, to me, it's, I mean, in times like this, something like this works amazing, right? I'm not buying more coins or anything like that. I mean, I have thought about maybe buying some OTC, but I mean, even that, I've not pulled the trigger on it just yet. But I mean, because right now, I haven't really been, I don't really have much disposable capital to just go out there and just buy crypto, right? Because most of my capital, I've been funding token metrics, right? And building that up, right? So I don't really have lots of disposable cash just to speculate on crypto. But if I did, oh man, I would be that guy on Reddit just buying the dip, just trying to get everything like half off. And I definitely would be negotiating with sellers, right? Kind of going back to what I said earlier, buying from pessimists, right? Because now lots of people are pessimists on crypto. That's why things have been on bargain discounts. So especially on OTC where there isn't like an exchange price, if somebody is selling for 25 cents, you can maybe get it for 15 cents. So that's something I would definitely be exploring if I had lots of disposable cash just to speculate. But I don't have to, right? I just bought the device, plugged it in, and it's making me hopefully money. Now, just to go back to the device, let me see how many tokens I've been getting. So in the last 24 hours, I have received 1.5, 1.1, 2, 3. Okay, done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So over 10 HNT tokens. So not bad, not bad. I mean, I'm just hoping this ends up being the next Bitcoin. Obviously, not quite like Bitcoin, but I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think this could be a top 20 market cap project. That's kind of best case. Worst case, I think this is definitely a top 100 market cap project. And I think, and the fact that right now it's only costing about $400 to get in, I think this has a lot of potential, right? A lot of potential because not many people even know about this project. And the ones who do, not many people are mining the project. So this is like mining Bitcoin back when it just came out, like a year when it came out. So, I mean, I miss Bitcoin. I missed mining Bitcoin. I missed that train, missed that rocket ship, missed the Ethereum rocket ship. Still made money on it afterwards, but I missed the initial rocket ship of Ethereum, right? Mining Ethereum, for example. So this to me is like one of the first cryptocurrencies I've actually mined. So, you know, I have my fingers crossed, but obviously we're not just in this based on luck. We've done our research, our analysis. The official review is up on tokenmetrics.com. So all our customers can go and access the official review of Helium. We've done a deep fundamental analysis on it. We've done a deep technology analysis on it. I also recommend you go and read the documentation and the white paper if you can. It is technical, but in times like this, you can't just be blindly buying stuff or that you don't know about. Otherwise, you'll capitulate. But more importantly, you won't hodl or buy the dip when you need to, because you won't be a true believer. You'll just be a speculator, right? So because to have a truly long-term perspective, this is 1 year or longer, ideally 3 years or longer, they say in the book Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Long-term investors should ideally have a time horizon of 3 years or longer. So you only put in capital at risk that you can't see for 3 years or longer. And to me, $500 for a hotspot, I mean, to me that's pretty simple, right? So that's what I've done. But when we go through bear markets and times like this, right? That's why I've been thinking of possibly buying more, because I've done my research. I believe in the product, the technology. I'm willing to put more capital at risk for possibly a larger payoff while people are selling. I have thought about getting 2 devices as well. I have to double check into whether or not you can run 2 devices in the same area. But I do know, actually, Barry, who watches the live streams, also has a device. I know he has one at work and one at home. So if you kind of have something like that, that can definitely work, right? But anyway, if you do your research, you can definitely be more patient and know what to do and how to react when everybody else is a pessimist, right? So back to the question, I mean, that's the coin, in my opinion, that I think could possibly 100x. But once again, that's just our opinion from our research. We could be wrong, right? This is not financial advice. Don't go out there, get wrecked, and come back and blame me. As we like to say, if you take any L's, don't mention our name. Okay, all right. On to the next question. Let's see here. Let me see how many questions we have. Wow, we have a lot of questions. So not going to be able to answer all these questions. And once again, if you have any questions that we miss, go to our forum, our new forum. We're in the process of migrating everything over. forum.tokenmetrics.com. Just go here, create a topic, put in your question, and our team will go there and start answering the questions. Okay? So I definitely recommend you go in there and just post your questions. Okay, anyway. What do I think about Cody and Hashgraph? Cody, not so bullish on it at the moment. From going back and doing, we had Paresh do a review on it. I don't think he was bullish on it. I'm not sure if it was finished. Hashgraph is a decent project. The TA right now is not quite. If we go short term, okay, it's top 10. So not for short term trade. It's all right, but the score is low. So right now we're not so bullish on crypto short term. Just kind of based on the grades. Typically, we've had projects in 80% or even 90%, but right now the score is very, very low. So it's not really ideal to be in crypto at the moment. Okay, and next question is Ethereum really a better store of value than Bitcoin? Depends on. We'd have to go through and look at the actual volatility. My initial response would be no. I think Bitcoin is a better store of value. But if you go into Ethereum and look at the DeFi platforms and stablecoins, DAI, then I would say, I mean, if you consider DAI part of Ethereum, then yes. But looking at Ethereum itself, let's pull up the Ethereum performance metrics on Token Metrics. Okay, so here going to Ethereum, we go to performance metrics, and here we have it versus Bitcoin, right? So here Bitcoin going since 2018 has performed better than Ethereum. And if we look at the drawdowns, Ethereum dropped 93%, max drawdown. Bitcoin's were 78%. So I think that pretty much answers your question. And then in the last month, Ethereum has performed better than BTC. Year to date, right? It's also better. Actually, are those numbers right? I'd have to double check. Hold on. Let's see here. So, I mean, in general, I think BTC is a better store of value than Ethereum, to answer your question. Okay, next one. Okay, Zilliqa, we already covered this. 100x potential, 5 to 10 years. That would be kind of a stretch in my opinion. But go for anything long term, go to tokenmetrics.com and you can check the project. Okay, what would an economic restart look like, and would it play out? How would it play out? World War III for power, or US peacefully keeps the vol? Oh man. So what would an economic restart look like? The end days. I mean, actually, I think I have something for that.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
I mean, because I've had so many friends come out as conspiracy theorists that I had no idea were conspiracy theorists, talking about the end of the world, the new world order, you know, all those tinfoil hat theories. And I mean, okay, going through it in my perspective, how does the economic restart look like? The dollar crashes. Well, okay, so we have what could happen and what I think would be ideal, right? So maybe we start with what I think would be ideal. I think ideal is the dollar crashes, other currencies as well. We go through a global recession, a reset, things that were overpriced get repriced at a more reasonable price, right? So no more Tesla at what, almost $1,000. No more no more $1 trillion companies. Everything gets reset, kind of like with crypto as well. Kind of goes into that. So basically, things get reset. We all realize that the fiat currency experiment is over, and we all lose faith in it. And either new currencies get back onto the gold standard, ideally, right? They get back onto the gold standard, and we all just kind of go through this short-term period of pain where, you know, there's high unemployment. Unfortunately, purchasing power will decrease, so possibly stagflation, right? But it's a reset that's needed, kind of like going through a detox, you know, or going on a diet. Something that's needed to recalibrate, right? Like imagine you are a drug junkie, you have to go to rehab, right? So financially speaking, the world's currencies and central banks are junkies, and they have to go through rehab, and unfortunately, they have to take their populace, the people with them, into rehab, and rehab might take a while. I mean, if they've been junkies for almost 100 years, it won't just drop like that. It's going to take some time. It might take, who knows, 5 years, maybe even 10 years. I mean, definitely not the popular opinion. That's why politicians keep on selling people a bill of goods, right? Pun intended, right? They lie to them and tell them whatever they need to get re-elected in the short term, not caring about what's going to happen in the long term. So a global reset means we go through tough times, but we come out better in the end. So, and it means prices getting reset, recalibrated. Now, in terms of how crypto falls into that, or I mean, I think when the dust settles, when the dust and smoke clears, it's going to be musical chairs. Countries that were powerful might not be powerful anymore, and countries or their power might have changed. And lots of people are saying that America's biggest rival isn't Russia, it's China. Because I mean, I think China could come out and really be the new alpha, right? And I know all the conspiracy theorists are kind of predicting that, and they believe that no way will America or the EU allow China, a communist country, to be the new alpha. So that's where people are getting all the possible World War III. I mean, I hope there isn't a World War III, right? But not from a conspiracy theory perspective, but from a probability perspective. I mean, we know we've been through World War I, we've been through World War II, right? So when somebody says World War, it's not like they're a tinfoil hat person, but we know it's happened before in the past, and we had two of them in the 20th, right, in the 1900s. I mean, right, from what, like 1913, right? But anyway, we had two in 50 years, right? And we've gone 70 years without really a world war, which is great. But we know that humans will be humans, right? And humans, when they don't get along, they fight, they have war. So, I mean, I hope there's a World War III, right? But, I mean, let's think about it. Is that even possible now? Because nowadays we have nuclear weapons. So if we truly have a war, it will not look good, right? So in America, like America didn't go to war with Russia. We just had a Cold War with Russia, right? It was just an information war, right? Basically spying, espionage. So now that China and America were kind of rivals, I mean, we had the trade war and all that stuff. So the question is, would it just be a Cold War as well? Right? I think maybe a Cold War, but also maybe a currency war, right? Because China has been trying to get off of being attached to the U.S. dollar, right? They don't want to depend on the American dollar so much. So I think maybe it's a currency war. Maybe China says, you know what, the dollar is inflating. We don't want to be a part of this sinking ship. We're getting off, because China does have a lot of. I think China has the most American dollars outside the Federal Reserve Bank, because when they're exporting their products to America, they get paid in US dollars, which they then keep in their reserves. So if they just said, you know what, we don't want to hold money in the American dollar, we're going to hold it in our own currency, or in gold, or in a gold-backed currency, or whatever, or Bitcoin, who knows? I mean, that's when the sinking ship starts, and I think there would be some kind of conflict, but I don't think it would be like a physical conflict, like dropping a nuke on each other, because I think both countries, or all countries in general, realized after what happened in Pearl Harbor and in Japan, right, with the atomic bomb, that if somebody drops the bomb, it's going to affect the whole world, right? Because there'll be just kind of like the butterfly effect. If you drop a nuclear bomb on somebody, there's radiation, there's tsunamis, earthquakes. It's going to mess up the economies, and everything is connected. We're now a true global economy. So I don't think. I mean, I hope countries won't be that stupid to start a World War III. But with that being said, we do know that the wars all the time. I mean, we had America's been at war in the Middle East, right, and even other countries. So if two countries really hate each other, maybe it's possible. But I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, at least not in the next 10 years. But I could be wrong. I mean, I don't really follow geopolitics like that. I think things would be peaceful. If anything, I think the U.S. can decline as a global power, right? Especially if the dollar crashes, right? But back to your question, because I've been kind of talking in circles. But it is a question that's hard to not talk in circles, okay? Because it's all pure speculation, right? So what would an economic restart look like? I think I've answered that part, right? The dollar crashing, America going into a 5 or 10 year recovery, maybe even longer. I don't know, right? I'm no economist, but I think that's what has to happen. Prices have to reset, recalibrate. Other countries would probably get hit a lot, right? Especially countries that have their currencies pegged to the U.S. dollar or tied to the U.S. dollar in some fashion, right? So most currencies would then have to abandon the U.S. dollar, go onto the gold standard, or ideally, I think, or some other currency becomes the reserve currency, right? Imagine if the Chinese currency becomes the reserve currency. Then, I mean, I think America would definitely have some kind of conflict with China, because they have polarizing philosophies, right? One has capitalism, or kind of crony capitalism, then the other and the democracy, and the other has, you know, their communist ways, right? So even though they do have some kind of form of capitalism now. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of that. I mean, that's definitely a hot topic. But let me know what you guys think. Let me check the comments. Okay. Okay, law to make more arrests against those who have committed sedation and crimes against children. I'm hearing the internet could be cut off for 3 more days. Okay, Jay says during that time the government will broadcast on a loop a video that you And if that's 8 hours long to watch. Economic restart is like Control Alt Delete on Windows 98 77 times. Okay, Jay says, I do believe it will go under martial law. The virus will be the excuse, but it's really just a smokescreen. There's currently over 154,000 sealed indictments. I believe they will be using martial law. You guys are just waking up. Event 201, speak on that. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. All right. Barry says, I have 3 hotspots. Loving them. Nice. Big fan. Became an affiliate. Thank you. Thank you, Wanye. Yeah, so we have an affiliate program. If you haven't joined already, I highly recommend you join. We changed our commission from 20% to 40%. And we've already paid out, somebody has already earned $800 on an affiliate referral. So definitely recommend you join if you haven't yet already. Just go to partners.tokenmetrics.com. Where can I buy helium? You can only buy the device on the website. Okay, all right. So I think that's, yeah, people have interesting takes. Okay, all right. On to the next question. What's the best exchange to convert BTC to USDC if we're trying to sell now and buy the dip later? USDC. I would say go check CoinMarketCap, but I mean, USDC is that a coin? I think that's Coinbase. That's Coinbase backed cryptocurrency. But I mean, the best exchanges, in my opinion, are Coinbase, Gemini, Binance. I mean, the American exchanges that are well known. All right, next question. Can you compare DEXs? Bancor versus Kyber Network versus 0x? I mean, briefly, I mean, okay, without delving deep into it, I would say, in my opinion, the best exchanges on that list would be 0x Protocol, and then Kyber Network, and then Bancor. And now, in the DeFi space, 0x and Kyber have a lot more volume and interest, just kind of based off of that, right? Because that's really why DEXs do well. So for instance, if we go to DeFiPost.com and we go to DEXs, Uniswap, okay, Bancor, then Kyber. They don't have 0x here. Maybe they have it as something else. Huh. I'm not sure why it's not here. Derivatives? Okay, but anyway, I mean, Bancor had their IC. Actually, all these two had, all three had IC as well back. But in my opinion, based on the technology we've looked at, 0x and Kyber would be our preferred DEXs. Bancor would be the latter. So, I mean, hello Ian, I love what you're doing. Can you choose 5 low cap and 5 mid cap altcoins for long-term hodl? Big gains. So if you go to our YouTube channel, we've basically already answered this question. So if I go back to, okay, so here. So just go watch our video, because somebody asked this last week as well, in regards to Tika Tuaris, 5 coins to 5 million. So we gave our own version of coins that have that potential. And then I would say join Tokenmetrics, and that's why we've made the platform. So we have all these different coins in real time every single day. So whenever there are changes, we update them. So I would say join Tokenmetrics. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next question. Do you know besides BTC which other coins Bakkt will add to its card? I would say speculation would say Ethereum. I think I even heard articles about that, about them looking into adding Ethereum. Bakkt Ethereum. Yeah, here I'm seeing Ethereum futures, the next big derivative to hit the market. So I mean, that makes the most sense. Would be that over anything else, really. Okay, all right. I'm going to try to whiz through this. Hello, Ian. I think that low price coins are the ones that skyrocket in bull markets because the average people put their money in that kind of coin. That is why we see XLM, XRP mooning. Low price coins, yeah. I mean, so he's basically saying low cap based on, I mean, low price, not low market cap. That's somewhat true, right? Because people don't really think of market cap as being a factor, right? Until they kind of figure that out. So if we look at low price, I mean, that's probably why Telcoin did pretty well back in 2017 and Pundi X. But based off of that, those with we got Holochain. This is purely short-term rating, so this is just for trading. This is not long-term HODL. But yeah, I mean, I definitely do see how noobs can kind of invest in low-price coins as opposed to high-cap coins. Okay, all right. Let's see here. Stocks are not as accessible as crypto in most parts of the world. For instance, down here in South Africa, it is difficult to buy stocks of the huge American tech companies. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a good point. That's why crypto is meant to really globalize and bring all investors all investors together. Now, for crypto to really take off, I mean, it's going to be because the reason why it's tough for you to buy the American companies, I'm guessing, is due to regulation in both countries. So, for crypto to really blow up, I don't think both countries would let it happen and completely push all that regulation they've had aside. So that's why we've had really issues with security tokens. Now, I think this might have been a statement based on a question I was answering a while back. I'm not sure which question in particular that was about. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I think people who want to get exposure to stocks down the road could invest in crypto via security tokens and tokenized exchanges. Now, whether or not they would still have the same things holding them back, like for example, like in South Africa, that part I don't know. All right, let's see here. Next question. Let me just see how many questions we have here. Okay, man, so many questions here. What time is it? 8:30. Okay, so maybe we go to the top of the hour. Okay, is DMM still alive? Diary of a Made Man? Yes and no. I mean, Diary of a Made Man is now Token Metrics, right? We've kind of Diary of a Made Man was really just more about me. Token Metrics is now the platform. So everything we're doing is now under the Token Metrics platform and brand. So I do have the 2 YouTube channels, but we post more content on our actual Token Metrics channel. We post videos every single day. So if you haven't subscribed to this, then you're missing out. If you're still on the Diary of a Made Man channel, because we've been telling people for the last few months to make the switch, but not everybody has switched over. That's why we're we're still putting out some content there. But eventually we'll stop and just put everything, because right now we only do live streams on the Diary of a Made Man channel. We don't upload actual video clips. That's only on the Token Metrics channel. So you're missing out if you haven't joined or subscribed to our Token Metrics channel. So I mean, that's really it. DMM is still alive, but just Token Metrics is the focus right now. The sovereign is scam. I mean, I wouldn't say they're a scam. I mean, I just think they've gone through some financial issues, right, in this market, and I don't think they raised money from. They didn't sell a token. They did have an equity fundraise, that I know, and I know that they tried to do a private sale, I believe, which did not work out. But maybe some other people have more info on this. I know Barry was a equity investor, I believe, or yeah, I think he was an investor early in it. Maybe he has more info on it. But if they didn't sell a token, not sure how they can be a scam, right? I mean, they didn't sell a token. I mean, so anybody who would have bought that token and didn't have liquidity or whatever, I feel the word scam gets tossed around way too much in crypto. I mean, it's basically played out. Okay, so let me just take a look here. Maybe somebody chimed in the comments. Yeah, Barry says no way sovereign is a scam. All right. Okay, so hello, any thoughts on Zcash crashing from the first listing? Yeah, I mean, Zcash did crash on the first listing, but I mean, our team thinks it's good. It's a good project and good technology, but obviously that depends where you get in on. So I mean, short term on Token Metrics, it's, I mean, obviously nothing is good short term right now. Basically in crypto, Token Metrics is not so bullish at the moment. But I mean, compared to other projects, long term, we think it's a better project than most of the privacy coins out there. Do you think Satoshi should get a Nobel Peace Prize? I mean, I think he should get a Nobel Prize, but Peace Prize, because Nobel Prize has different categories. Like, so I think maybe you mean the other categories, right? Because you can win a Nobel Prize for physics, for economics, for peace as well. So I think he should win a Nobel Prize for economics. I mean, because Bitcoin has changed everything. It's changed the landscape for global finance. So I think he definitely should have won an award for that. But I don't think he's the kind of person who likes awards. That's why he hasn't really come out and revealed himself. So yes, I think he should definitely win an award, but he would not be there to receive it. Maybe it will be some kind of decentralized award. Okay, all right. On to the next one. Okay, interesting question here. I cannot afford to get all the best blockchains, cryptocurrencies, basically, he's saying. If I have 1,000 Cosmos and 1,000 Tezos, should I break my portfolio down so I can get some EOS, like 500 Cosmos, 500 Tezos, 500 EOS? So this is really a question about diversification and how to invest. Obviously, everybody's different. I can share with you some strategies I think, in my opinion, obviously not investment advice, are a good start. In general, when it comes to diversification, you want to have at minimum 10 different investments. You want to have 10 to 30 investments, ideally, for diversification. Now, yes, you have other people out there like Warren Buffett who don't believe in diversifying, but they're professional investors. So unless you're doing this for a full-time job, 9 to 5, investing, diversify, right? Because you won't have the time or the expertise to know what you're doing, right? Unfortunately, right? So as opposed to trying to spend 9 to 5 doing that, because I'm guessing you have other jobs, family, and things you're doing. Diversify. When it comes to crypto, whatever money you've put aside for investing in crypto, don't put more than 10% of your income in investing, right? Ideally, right? So let's say you're making 100 grand a year. One thing you could do is say, you know what, I'm going to invest $10,000 each year. And let's say you're investing all that in crypto, right? Probably not the best thing, but let's say you're doing all that in crypto. I think a good approach would be, okay, I'm going to make 10 investments, $1,000 each, into 10 different cryptocurrencies. And just to keep things simple, we'll make it a equally weighted portfolio. So actually, before we even do that, let's put $1,000 aside in cash. So that way we always have some money to buy the dips when we need to. So we'll say $1,000 into a stablecoin like DAI. We lend that out via Celsius, via Compound, via BlockFi, via Nuo, on other platforms. We spread our risk around. So maybe $250 on Celsius, on Nuo, on BlockFi, on Compound, each making you about 4 to 7% annually. So to protect against inflation. And that's where just capital you have there. That's not in cash, but it's there in case you need it to buy the dip. And there, so that leaves you $9,000 to invest in 10 projects. So that really gives you $900. So this is kind of what we sent to our customers via a newsletter, but it was just in a long form of almost 1,500 words email. But so $900 in 10 currencies. So we would just go on tokenmetrics.com, look at the top 10 long-term investments, for example, right? Because anything, when it comes to things like this, you have to think long-term. So meaning 1 year longer, ideally 3 years or longer. So look at those top 10, and I would put $900 in each. And then let's say I put $900 into BTC. Then I would get a portion of that, maybe 25%, and anywhere from 10 to 25%. And then I would lend that out as well to earn some extra interest on that, on Celsius, on maybe wrapped BTC, on a DeFi platform. So I would have my assets at work for me. So I think something like that would be ideal. That's just one way of doing it. Obviously, no strategy is perfect or right. The ways you can evolve and adapt to it. But I think something like that would diversify you across good projects. It would give you exposure to the high cap projects like Bitcoin, Ethereum, because those projects have always been, for the most part, in our top 10 long-term ratings. Yeah, they've been in the top 10 long-term ratings, but then also gives you some exposure to some low cap projects. Right? We have 2 projects in the low cap with market caps of 90 and higher that we think are very good projects. So it will give you a good exposure to both high cap, mid cap, and low cap based on our team's fundamental analysis, technology and code reviews, and technical analysis. All those factored in. That's why we think our platform is very simple with things like this. And in case one of them dips, right? So you'd have a strategy to rebalance your portfolio. So let's say you rebalance every 1 year, every 12 months, you go through. If a project has dropped from the list on the index, you sell, and you sell that out and buy something else that's joined the top 10. Or if a project is still in the top 10, but the allocation is shifted, then maybe, so let's say that you had 10% of the 9,000 in Zcash, for example, and Zcash is now worth 15% because it's gone up. Using portfolio theory, you would sell that 5% to bring it down from 15% to 10%. So basically, it forces you to take profits when times are good, bull markets, and then buy. Let's say some other project is still in the top 10. Let's say a project like Ethereum is down, the allocation is down from 10% to 5%. So you take that 5% you've sold from Zcash, buy the dip on Ethereum because it's still a highly rated project, but but it's down. So it forces you to buy the dips. It forces you to sell to optimists and buy from pessimists, as we mentioned earlier in the show. So a strategy like that, in my opinion, would be the ideal way to go, or rather the ideal way to start. And then obviously do your own research, find other strategies as well based on your risk tolerance, your investment time horizon. I mean, so going back to this question, I think just having these three is not enough. I think you have to diversify and have even more, right? Because in this example, if you have 1,000 Cosmos, 1,000 Tezos, and that's all you have, I think you can diversify even more, right? Unless you're a professional investor, but I'm guessing if you're a professional investor, you probably would not be asking this kind of question. You probably already have your strategy kind of laid out. So with something like this, unless you have other coins and you're just talking about blockchains, EOS is not on our list long term. EOS hasn't really been up there on the list. So I would recommend you kind of go through what I've just shared. Go to tokenmetrics.com and view the top 10 and kind of use that as a way to figure out how to build the ideal diversified portfolio. All right. Okay, man. It's a long night today. Okay, let's see how many other questions we have. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we got some conspiracy theories. Okay, let's see here. Okay, all right. Ian, I think you should promote cryptos in countries that don't allow it. Please do it. If they don't allow it, it's probably not a good idea. I mean, not looking to break any laws here. How are you doing with social distancing? So how am I doing with social distancing? What am I doing to keep myself entertained? I mean, this isn't really much of a change for me because I've already been working at home. Ever since I quit my job at IBM, I've been working at home remotely. And I feel like if you're in crypto, you've already been socially distancing yourself. I mean, so outside of my crypto world tour where I was traveling, but for the most part, really since October, since October and November, since my last conference in Malta was in November, I've been at home since then. So the last 4 months I've been at home, not really traveling. My conference to Russia in next month in April was postponed to October. I mean, I've been here at home. I haven't left the house in almost 2 weeks. Yeah, almost 2 weeks now. But I mean, to me, that's really kind of been the norm because we've been working hard at Token Metrics, so I haven't really had a reason to leave the house. The last time I left the house was when my crypto friends came to DC. So met up with them for dinner and drinks. So I mean, I've been doing dinner and drinks with friends before the whole coronavirus thing for, like, I would say once or twice a month. Besides just going out and buying groceries and, you know, helping pick up my siblings from school and some other stuff, I'll just been at home, just been a homebody. Now, what I do to entertain myself, I play video games, NBA 2K. So for those who follow me on IG, if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be following me on Instagram, Diary of a Made Man. So I put up a IG story because I love 2K. For those who know me for a while, I love basketball, ball is life. So I've been playing that a lot, usually in the evenings after working or whatever. I'll play like 2 or 3 games because right now we're in the playoffs, right? With my career. So I had an 86-point triple-double with my power forward on Hall of Fame. So those are the most points I've ever scored, 86 points. Didn't quite get to 100, with just one player, my player, right? So I've been doing that, watching Netflix. Last night began watching Ozarks, great show. Season 3 is out, so I watched 6 episodes last night. 6 episodes of season 3. Then right after this, exactly after this, I'm going to go have some dinner, then watch Homeland on Showtime. I love that show. Homeland is out today. Then also going to watch Westworld. I finally caught up with Westworld on HBO. Great show. It's about androids. If you like Game of Thrones, I think you like futuristic shows, you're probably gonna like Westworld. So I've been watching that. So episode 3 comes out tonight as well. So I watched those 2 shows, and I'll probably finish Ozarks all tonight because I go to sleep late at night and I wake up late. So yeah, I'm just watching Netflix, playing video games with family, reading a lot. So every time I play video games, I mute the audio, and I put on an audiobook. I just put on my headphones. That's how I go through so many books so quickly. I like to read about 2 to 4 books a month, so it's about a book every 1 or 2 weeks. Right now, so the books I've been reading, I'll go through my list. So I shared this with our Token Metrics professional users on our call this week. So I read the book How an Economy Grows and Crashes by Peter Schiff. That's a good book. I finished the book Crypto Assets by Chris Bernitzky. I didn't really like it so much. Let me see what other book. And then YouTube, right? YouTube, kind of like you guys. I go through and watch different videos, educational videos. I've been watching a lot of videos on Peter Schiff, right? His interviews with Joe Rogan. I mean, great content. He has like 3 interviews. They're all about 3 hours long. Probably the best life hack ever is listening to everything at 2x speed online, on YouTube, on Audible, right? Usually 1.75x to 2x is the speed. So I can go through a 3-hour interview in an hour and a half. So I'll just have like Joe Rogan interviewing Peter Schiff on 2x speed as I'm playing 2K for like 3 or 4 hours. Then maybe watch Netflix. But yeah, I mean, I try to be productive every single day, right? So I think that's really the lesson in life. Just try to do something productive each day, right? So yesterday, yes, I played video games for maybe 4 hours, but I got through, let's say, 6 or 7 hours worth of economic interviews while doing it, right? So my video game playing time was productive. So that's how I justify playing games. But let me know what you guys are doing during the quarantine, what books you're reading, what shows you're watching. Definitely curious to know. So let me take a look at the comments and see what you guys are saying. Watch Hunters on Amazon. Okay, I'll check that out. Crypto World Tour. Oh man, that was lit. Yeah, Crypto World Tour was lit. It was lit for sure. Add me on Facebook, bro. We gotta stick together. Well, I don't use Facebook, honestly. I boycotted Facebook a while back, like probably in 20. Yeah, I think more than 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, I do have a channel there, and I know I stream there, but to be honest, like I don't have a Facebook profile. Nowadays, if you wanna find me on IG. IG is where I'm most active. Instagram. But don't slide in my DMs though. I don't have social media. The spiritual fight is real. Okay. Would you consider yourself a professional investor? Would you diversify? Yeah, I mean, I would consider myself a professional investor. I mean, because I mean, I quit my job for IBM to go full time into crypto. So, I mean, this is how I make my living. So, yes, would I diversify? I would still diversify, right? But diversification can mean different things. And I think in the book, The Intelligent Investor, which is the book I'm also going through right now, they say you should have minimum 10 different investments and maximum 30, right? So 10 to 30 is the ideal range. So I think when we say diversify, we mean at a minimum have 10 different investments. But even when you look at Warren Buffett, he says don't diversify, but even he kind of diversifies, right? Because if we go to Warren Buffett's portfolio, let me see if I can Google this. Warren Buffett portfolio. He has more than, actually CNBC seems to have this here on the website. He has a lot more than 10 different investments. So this is on CNBC. It's called Buffett Watch. So these are his holdings. I mean, this to me seems that he's not just investing in one single investment. He has more than 10. This is diversification. So while he might say he doesn't diversify, I think what he's saying, don't just do purely index type strategy. Because he has American Airlines, Apple, Amazon, American Express, Exalta, Bank of America, Biogen, Bank of New York, Mellon, Costco, Delta, GM, Goldman Sachs, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan, Kraft Heinz, Coca-Cola, Kroger, MasterCard, Southwest, Moody's, Procter & Gamble, PNC, Philips, Sirius Radio, United Airlines, UPS, Visa, Vanguard, VeriSign, Wells Fargo. I mean, so don't listen to the media or to what somebody just says. You also have to do the actual research. And to me, he's hella diversified, right? So take the interviews where he says don't diversify with a grain of salt, because he's not just putting all his money in just one basket. And then he also has the index trust, right? So can we sort this by value? Okay, yes we can. So his largest holdings: Apple, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Amex. And if we go to the stake, okay, so he has, okay, I think this is probably based on the shares and not based on, so he has 30% of this company. But I mean, he's very diversified in my opinion, because according to the book, The Intelligent Investor, they say have minimum 10 investments to 30. And not sure how many this is, but looks like it's about 30 or so. So going back to your question, diversify. I mean, even the professionals who claim they don't, right, still do it. Okay, let's see what other questions people have. What website that is? Okay, let me post that in the chat. I just Googled Warren Buffett portfolio. It's Buffett Watch on CNBC. So let me post that here on the. So I posted that in the chat. James says, I heard he bought the dip on the airlines. Yeah, I think it was Delta Airlines. He might have bought. So yeah, I mean, definitely take everything people say with a grain of salt, because the media will just take something and like he might talk for like 5 minutes, and they'll clip something out for like 10 seconds saying don't diversify, and you don't really have the context of what he's saying it in. But looking at his actual portfolio, I mean, he's hella diversified, in my opinion. Alien says the old man has way too much money. I mean, I think that's a good thing to have. All right, so let's go to the next question. Okay. people are talking about voting on the blockchain. Okay, let me just go through here. Okay. Hi, Ian. Thoughts about voting on the blockchain? I think voting on the blockchain would be good. Maybe now it can get more traction now that the entire world is on lockdown and quarantined. So I know lots of local elections here were postponed and pushed back because of the quarantine and the lockdown. But I mean, there have been lots of other projects out there. Like in 2017, there was Horizon, an Australian project that ended up having to shut down because I think the Australian regulators said they were a security and they had to, it became too expensive for them to keep on going. But I mean, anyway, I think voting on a blockchain is really the future, but it hasn't taken off like we all would think it would. And the question is why? I mean, maybe politicians don't want it to take off. I mean, because here in America, we're still doing things the old-fashioned way, going in paper or computers. I mean, that's why I don't have time to go wait in line, especially in my jurisdiction where the vote doesn't really count, to be honest. Because, right? Actually, yeah, I'd have to go double check that, but usually it doesn't really matter much. But I think it's the future, but it just has to take time to happen, and countries and governments have to start adopting voting on a blockchain. It hasn't happened yet. I'm not sure what project would or technology would bring it on a blockchain to the masses, because all the ones out there that have tried, even Agora, which was the winner of our Crypto World Tour event in Prague, Czech Republic, that was in 2018. I haven't even heard much of them since then. So it seems like all the blockchain voting projects were flashes in the pan, but nobody has really brought it to the masses. And I think to do that, you have to do lots of lobbying, and you have to really sell and prove out and get somebody to buy in on that, which is a sticking point at the moment. All right, next question. Okay, a political question. Hello, Ian. Please remember, BTC is for the whole of humanity, not only for US. Here in France, we don't care who wins US election. In any case, Republican or Democrats, they apply the same stupid doomed policy. Okay. I would say yes, partially. Yeah, I mean, I think both sides, regardless of who's who, right? Whether it was Trump or Obama, I mean, they all just did quantitative easing. So yes, I mean, they all just did the same stupid policies. But just to kind of talk about things being stupid for a second, things can look stupid on the outside, but if we look at things from a rational perspective, let's assume humans are acting in a rational way. Politicians are doing what they're doing, I would think, not because they're stupid, but because it's what keeps them in power, or what, right? It's kind of the rational self-interest. If you're a politician and you know, okay, if I tell the people that let's not print more money, let's go through a recession, let's take our medicine, have unemployment go to 20%, have purchasing power decline, or rather have everything that you've worked for drop in value, have your entire investment portfolio decline by 30% or even 50%, nobody's going to vote you in power. Or if you're already in power, they're going to vote you out. They'll give you the boot. So this is why I think politicians act like this. They say, okay, you know what? I'm going to think about short term. My re-election campaign is happening in 2 to 3 years, for example. They think, I just need to get reelected. So I know if I tell you, let's go through a recession, you're not going to reelect me. So I'll tell you what you want to hear. right? I'll seduce you. I'll sell you a bill of goods because you obviously don't want your medicine, right? So I'll tell you Santa exists. I'll tell you we can just keep on printing money without any problems, and you re-elect me. And I think that's what happens. Now, going back to your other statement where you say that Bitcoin is for the whole world, basically. Yes, I definitely do agree with you. Bitcoin is for the whole world. And yes, the US is not the only player involved. But I think it's an important player. And that's not something we can't really ignore because the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. So just like Bitcoin is the reserve currency in the crypto world. So you may not believe in Bitcoin, but it doesn't matter. If you're in the crypto space and you're in some other altcoin, right? Let's say you think Cardano is the next Bitcoin and you don't believe in Bitcoin. Doesn't matter. Cardano is trading versus a BTC pair. So what happens to Bitcoin affects you as an investor. So same thing with the US dollar. The US dollar is like Bitcoin in the global markets. Most countries, most currency pairs are pegged to the US dollar. So whatever happens to the US dollar affects everybody around the world, even those who don't care about the US dollar. Now, because of that, the US is also an important player because what happens with the US election determines what could possibly affect the US dollar. So by default, anybody out there, you have to really care what happens with the US election. So, I mean, that's kind of my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you invest in altcoins that have a long-term trajectory of success or just short-term holds to flip into BTC? I mean, so at Token Metrics, I think the best approach is to have a long-term perspective when it comes to investing in crypto. So building a portfolio, you have to have a time frame of 1 year or longer, ideally 3 years or longer is the time frame that they recommend it when it comes to being a value investor. So as a value investor, you're investing in projects that you think will perform well and have actual intrinsic value. So it's not purely for speculation. It's not for quick flips, right? So with me, if anything, me personally, I don't really invest to flip into BTC. If anything, I invest to flip into cash in my bank account. Because cash, even though it's going to inflate and crash eventually, as we've kind of roasted cash in the show, but still, as of today, cash, I can buy a lot more things with cash than I can with other altcoins. Right now, long term, yes, right. So the strategy I take, me personally, different for everybody. So take everything with a grain of salt. As a long-term value investor, you invest in something, you hold for, let's say 3 years, let's say 1 to 3 years, so you have a long-term capital gains. And then when you do end up taking profit, you take profit to Bitcoin or Ether, right? Depending on the volume of whatever you're investing in and what the currency pairs are. Or you liquidate and you go to cash, you put it in your bank account, and you maybe buy a home or whatever you do with the cash. So, I mean, that's kind of the strategy I personally would take, but maybe as opposed to cash, maybe you just go into DAI or a stablecoin and you park your money there and you say, okay, this is my profit. Not going to reinvest this, going to use this for something else. Maybe you put some towards stablecoin lending to earn some interest to beat inflation. But that's really the strategy I would personally follow, right? And that's kind of what I do. I mean, for me, when I do sell my altcoins, I sell them to cash to fund my business, right? Because with Token Metrics, we have to grow as a company and do stuff. So I don't really pay people in crypto. I cash out $2 and pay them. So that's kind of the perspective I take. So, I mean, to answer your question, do you invest in alts that have a long-term trajectory of success or just short-term holds to flip into Bitcoin? I'm not really a trader or speculator. I mean, back in maybe in late 2017 we were, because we because ICOs, we could flip them real quick, but those days are long gone. ICOs are dead. Nowadays, most of the money is just on buying good projects and holding them for long term or trading. I don't have time to trade because I'm busy running a company and doing other things. So to me, having a long-term value investing approach, finding those good altcoins, for example, as you mentioned, and holding for the long term, holding for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years or longer. All right. How many questions we have here? Okay, so this is going to be the last question, and then I'm gonna have to go and watch Westworld and Homeland and call it a night. Okay. Hello, Mr. Ian. I am called Francois from country of France. Bonjour, Francois. Mon ami. I have lots of electronium. ETN, is it true you are an advisor? I read on Cointelegraph website. Cointelegraph? No, I am not an advisor for electronium. I'm not sure what the heck that is. I mean, definitely not an advisor for this project. So, not sure. I'll look into it. Actually, let me see if I can pull that up. Electronium? I'm not sure. On Cointelegraph? I'm not saying anything. Yeah, I am not an advisor. Whoever you read that, go there and tell them it's fake news. Actually,
it's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
Actually, let's do that again.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
Fake news. Fake news. All right, let me just take the comments before we wrap up. Hi, Ian. I am looking to gather a team for a crypto project, real estate investment. Can I chat with you privately? Unfortunately, I'm not really taking on projects at the moment. I'm just focused on building token metrics. So, but thank you so much for the interest. USD is messed up due to being tied to interest rates. Correct about USD. Have a line for Democrats and a line for Republicans. Why? I'm not sure. How to get rich now? What coins to buy? Go to tokenmetrics.com and we help you with the research on that. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
All right. Hopefully, everybody's staying safe in the quarantine out there. You know, stay at home. Work on your knowledge. Upgrade your knowledge. Read books. Books I recommend you check out: The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks, Mastering the Cycle by Howard Marks as well. Those are very good value investors. Also check out the book. I had a book on factor investing. I have to find the actual title of it, but it's about how smart money invests using factor investing. And just even YouTube, like, go through all our live streams and videos if you haven't already. Play them at 2x speed if you have to. Hey, I won't blame you. And just stay safe. Let's get through these tough times. Let's be ready, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. But if we do our research, we'll have that edge. And that's why we also have Token Metrics as well. So if you haven't already, subscribe to Token Metrics. Use the code CryptoFamily for 10% off. That's going to be available there. As mentioned, in April, we'll be getting rid of the basic plan and just having 3 plans to keep things simple. So we'll have a HODL plan, investor plan, and the professional plan. And for anybody who's already on the basic plan, don't worry. Those plans will be fine. It's just future plans going forward. All right. With that being said, thank you so much, Crypto Family in the house. Appreciate everybody. Like, subscribe, and share this video with everybody. Go onto Token Metrics, channel on YouTube and subscribe if you haven't already. we're trying to get the Token Metrics channel to the silver plaque, right? We're trying to get that to 100,000 subscribers, just like we have with the Diary of a Made Man channel. So help us get there. Share with your friends. Let's all go to the moon together. But be cautious and be ready, because yes, we are crypto believers, but we can't be just moon boys and girls. We have to really know that, okay, you know what? We have to be cautious. We have to diversify. So meaning 10 to 30 investments. I think minimum 10, right? So that's probably a good place to be. But also have hedges, have some other assets. Don't have everything in crypto, because what if crypto is wrong? What if crypto never goes to the moon? I mean, we hope it does, right? That's why I have the Moon Lava t-shirt. But what if it doesn't, right? So I think gold is a hedge. That's why I've been reading a lot. I'm looking more into gold. That's why I read Peter Schiff's book, because he's kind of the gold version of the crypto people, right? He thinks precious metals and everything are good hedges versus inflation and the dollar crashing. And he was right about the recession. So I've gone through. I recommend you watch his interviews with Joe Rogan. He has like 3 interviews, great interviews about just the economy, about the dollar crashing, and why the central banks are just messing everything up. Read his book, How an Economy Crashes and Grows. How an Economy Grows and Crashes. Very good book, quick read. It's only about 3 hours. If you play it at 2x, it only takes about an hour and a half. So I got through that book while playing 2K in like a game. So definitely recommend you go check that out. With that being said, thank you so much, everybody. And remember, the moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond. Until next time.
Made man to the moon. I told you guys, we going big in Colombia, South America, worldwide, on the moon.
Since the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Token Metrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys.
We created Token Metrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond.
Disclaimer. Token Metrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments, nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Token Metrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.